We need to decide character voices. Well, I guess not right now. Honestly, it'd be kind of fun if it was a bit of a free-for-all, but I know that might cause some stress.
The answer is right before you. Most of the people here, if not all of them, could probably voice their own guys.
I
Hello.
was conscripted to do days, but I would also be happy doing my characters.
Oh, that's
I don't.
that'd be a problem if I had myself muted on OBS.
I don't think that I sound like what I want Arugula to sound like, but I don't know how to direct. I don't think we have anyone in here that does sound like what Arugula is supposed to sound
I
like.
don't know. Zeely is here.
We can use
Zeely is
Zeely
here.
whenever we want.
Zeely is our.
Come on, if you need a voice that no one else thinks they can do, no matter how good or bad I will make it sound, I'll just do it. Take out your Pokeball, throw me out there, tell me,
Oh.
do the voice. And I don't.
Oh, Zeely!
You brain blasted me. Right, the 3 concurrent threads.
Oh,
I think
fuck,
what's
that
gonna
was a
make sense
problem.
most is to just start with M2, and if it can go all the way down, because there's gonna be some asynchronicity here, but that's fine.
Yeah.
That's funny to me.
This is asynchronous
But-
storytelling.
Yeah.
There's asynchronous
It's
writing
true.
it. It's fine. I
You
didn't
would do
know
it like an
It's
episode.
true.
I didn't know what was going on.
Will I even exist? I will exist,
there
to
is
a mild
Frieza,
degree.
and Goji is not here.
Goji is in the Doka world.
I have to brush off the old Frieza. Shit!
Lord Frieza!
Gojo.
Lord Frieza!
No, Gojo.
Yeah, you didn't freeze.
Goji.
Golden.
Hi, Goji!
I go shit.
Frieza!
Golden
Golden
Frieza.
Golden Frisbee.
Golden Frisbee.
Special request. Can we start with the short prelude I wrote? It's technically just
Oh yeah,
above.
that's cute, epic, cutesy thing.
Okay.
Epic cutesy thing.
Anyways,
Who gets to be ours
I
first?
don't want to read for my characters. I'm willing to let people call dibs. I like the idea of Ross voicing ours, but also I wrote a lot for ours.
I'm down to read a lot.
I think multiple people can be ours.
My question is that
Could
in
do
this
my-
little.
So I was gonna say I could do my Jet the Hawk voice for hours.
Why?
It'd be a choice.
choice. Milnack's seal of disapproval.
Does this
I imagine.
form of ours require the echoey bits, or does that happen later?
Whatever's in blue text is weird.
Okay.
Bro is always
I-
in the
I-
time crack.
I can,
Bro
like-
always sounds weird style.
Oh, was it
Uh,
right now?
Does
Okay.
this do
Not at all.
something?
That's awesome. I like that a lot, actually.
Okay, cool. This effect is called stereo.
Oh, you are in a can.
I'm in a can.
Beep bop, boop boop beep.
Do you want to narrate for hours, and I'll
I
just say the
I
dialogue?
suppose we start because we could do it roundabout, but I was thinking just for this first part I could read a lot of the white text. I don't know if people
Right.
want me reading narration for their characters.
That's the thing. I think it might be more efficient to just have whoever's voicing the character read the narration as well for that line.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Makes sense.
inclined to agree.
that's what I was planning on doing.
Okay.
Oh
Then that
boy, I
works for me.
can't wait to read
Yeah.
my year-old writing. Ugh.
My year-old writing.
Hours looks on, repeatedly refreshing the chat room, an idle anxiousness stewing within them.
I sure hope I didn't come off as too weird. Maybe I should have let people know I was gonna be hosting it in the crack of time. I have a way of getting people here. Should I have mentioned that? Or, should I send another video clearing things up? Oh, but how much is too much?
The small clock carrying robot Hours was talking to offered nothing in terms of comfort.
Cool, thanks. How is it so far?
Sarcasm. Awesome. We love that.
I love you,
long-
Hours.
You're awesome.
That's
Oh,
very
Mill,
Long-
your writing is awesome.
Smiling.
Yeah, it is.
A large vitric floor, like a translucent plastic, stretched the far length of the crack of time. Interspersed in a circular radius, some cheap, actually plastic chairs were laid out. The intent was a waiting room. The look was a seminar.
It's fun. It's funny because I'm pretty sure I don't remember anybody sitting.
Yeah, I don't think anyone did.
Really sad.
no.
Forgotten instantly.
Hand in hand, first Hoopy and then Enu emerge from the other side of their rift, floating over the surface. Hoopy looks around excitedly, only to pout in slight disappointment when she realizes there are no awesome fighters to stare at yet. Her Kaioshin best buddy shades her eyes with her free hand, her keen magic senses taking in the unfamiliar dimension.
An awesome fighter somersaults out of another rift, landing on her feet and pumping her fists into the air. Oh god, this. Okay. Alright! Her voice echoes into the bizarre void that surrounds the waiting room. She's still in her base form, figuring there'd be the same waiting rigmarole as the last multiversal tournament she competed in. But suffice it to say, she's amped up to avenge her loss against that stupid old man!
Enu waves politely, and Hoopy waves excitedly.
Yay!
Enu says, "Oh, those earrings. I think she's a fusion, Hoopy. Really now?"
God watches it all happen.
I know, right?
For her part,
No.
Kefla is also a little let down to see there's only 2 other people to size up so far, but she'll still trash talk. She puts her hands on her hips and cracks her neck really quick before smirking over the pair. Hey there! Take a good long look, because this right here's the winner of this tournament! She jabs a thumb into her puffed out chest.
I wouldn't bet on it, Hoopy chirps back with a wink. Doesn't matter how many fighters you've gotten there. Where I'm from, I'm the best of the best. The Kai rolls her eyes good-naturedly.
Kefla scoffs. Oh yeah? Well, you better bring your best if you want to keep up with Kefla! That's a way to introduce oneself.
Well, we're off to a roaring start already, I see. My name's Enu, and this hothead here is Hoopy. It's nice to make your acquaintance, Kefla.
She finally spares the Kai a second glance. Sorry, Enu, but your girlfriend looks more punchable. And cracks a grin. Jeez, you're acting like you came here to make friends or something. My universe might not be on the line this time, but I'm still here to crush you guys first and foremost. Assuming you're competing? None of you god guys were interested in the last one I went to.
Here, I thought punching people was the traditional Saiyan way of making friends. She smiles mischievously.
Great.
To tell you the truth, I didn't used to have much of a taste for fighting, but my friend here has dragged me into a fair few already. I'm interested to try and hone my combat skills a little. It'd be nice to have a Supreme Kai who can defend herself for a change. Hoopy just rubs the back of her head at the playful admonishment from Enu.
Supreme Kai. Kefla has never actually spoken to her. She was
Yeah, he's
what
washed.
Kale were. He's washed. Caulifla and Kale were handed the god's earrings by Champa and given the briefest of explanations of what they were and how to use them. She takes on a thoughtful expression, reaching up to fiddle with her dangling Batara. These are the sort of toys you get to play around with. I guess it figures you must be pretty strong, huh?
She's hells of strong, Hoopy reports gleefully.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I can manage in both melee and magic, but I don't like to brag. She reaches up to lightly poke at one of the Batara she wears herself. I retconned them so they're actually blue, not magenta, sorry. While passing Hoopy an amused, if slightly exasperated look. Making artifacts isn't really my forte. I prefer hands-on action.
She lets out a hum, satisfied with this new knowledge. Well, mixing it up with a god ought to be fun then. Maybe next I'll ask that destroyer guy if he wants to go a few rounds after this. Kefla starts to roll her shoulder, unable to sit still. Then a weird guy appears.
A weird guy up here. Holy shit.
Guy up here. Holy shit.
Fuck.
Frieza enters this tournament void space much like he did the last, assessing it with a mischievous grin, tail flicking curiously behind him. Seems there's a familiar combatant here. How very interesting.
Destroyers are always so much, Enu laments with a small hum before giving a shrug. In that respect, I'm sure it'd make a good matchup for a Saiyan warrior. Hoopy nudges Enu with her elbow, and they both glance over to get a load of this guy.
Get him.
Follows their eyes to see. Hey, it's that Frost-looking guy! She shouts, definitely slightly angry to have to see him, but mostly excited to batter his face in. Just get the old man that cue ball and the spandex, and we could really start righting some of those wrongs from the last tournament.
That Frost-looking guy? Frieza's features twist into a scowl. Sure, it makes sense for a warrior of Universe 6 to recognize him by reference rather than his own merit, but to be compared to such a subpar example of their species is a grave insult indeed. He slaps his tail against the floor, interrupting the other contestants' conversation with an impressive whip crack. I'd appreciate if you severed that unfortunate association, he sneers. I'm the emperor of my universe, not some half-witted wimp.
Ew, methinks this guy is a little too big for his non-existent britches.
Kepler only
Oh.
grins at Frieza's protestation. Nah, far as I can tell, you're at least as big a scumbag as he is. Don't see much of a point in remembering the difference, especially when I knock you out the same.
Oh, I won't deny my penchant for wickedness, says Frieza, a sly note to his voice. Just that I should be so unfortunate as to share a resemblance with such a shining example of the Sixth mediocrity. His imitation is pale at best. Crossing his arms, he adds, I wouldn't be so sure of your victory, though. We never had the pleasure of crossing paths in the ring, but you were knocked from it long before I ran out of steam. The fusion gimmick can only make up for so much.
Ouch.
Oh. Standing a fair distance away from the plastic ring of chairs, a silent hours watched on, chuckling quietly to the banner.
Chuckled on.
Yikes.
Chuckled.
He chuckled on. He smuckled and
Chuckled
smumbled.
on.
Chuckler.
Their
The
beard
chuckler.
plucked their tongue and said,
The chuckler.
What is there to do about the tournament?
Oh, I laugh.
Over to properly get in his face, she laughs boisterously at his threat.
Oh, is that how you see it? Because as far as I can tell, that old man's ultra ass pull is all that saved you from the beatdown I would have given you otherwise.
Hoopy mumbles in
Remember
confusion.
loving Ultra Ass Pull?
Ultra ass pull.
Old man, who are you? It takes Frieza a moment to realize she's referring to Goku. Then he's not just bantering with a Saiyan, he's bantering with a child. Hardly worth putting forth a full effort, no matter how entertaining her reaction. Ah, well, there's always the classics. His dainty lips curl into a grin. I suppose you wouldn't happen to know what happened to the Saiyan home planet in my universe, then?
Well, that earns a distasteful look from Hoopy. She doesn't butt in.
Arugula pokes her head in, just barely catching the last of Frieza's taunt. She could feel her tail puff at that. How dare he? That being said, there were still other Saiyans out there. She could wait it out for a second, she decided, sitting tensely in one of the small plastic chairs.
She sit down! Yes! Yes!
Thank God for Arugula.
It's a miracle.
Hoopy's forbearance only lasts a moment or two before impatience wins out. With her tail flicking, she innocently poses, You know, when our Emperor of the Universe tried that, my mom beat him to death. I wasn't around yet, but they tell the story around the table at the holidays every year. It's kind of old, to be honest.
Frieza snorts, throwing up his hands in a gesture of mock defeat. Oh, the kitten called its mother! Oh dear, I'm really in for it now.
My timeline's never even got the chance, Arugula spat. His evil caught up to him. It always does.
Just saying I'm tempted to take up the family business is all. She grins fangily.
Giving in to perhaps one of his more childish impulses, Frieza looks the tiger in the face and blinks pointedly with his nictitating
Yes.
nictitating third
membranes.
eyelid.
Yeah!
Nictitating membranes.
Ick.
That's what I'm-
Hoopy makes a face.
Third.
Save the fighting for
Gross.
the arena.
Hours mused from a distance, coyly.
Hey, chirping is a time-honored tradition in any competitive sport, martial arts included, with her hands on her hips. An excuse to be rambunctious and mouthy, you mean?
Arugula immediately looked around, trying to find the source of the voice.
He shrugs. It's hardly half as fun without the trash talk, so sue me.
The Kaioshin glances over to inspect Hours, curious about their host.
Hours is standing a distance away. Their body doesn't seem to catch the light as a normal body would, with soft light flowing around them, leaving patches of darkness on them. They were wearing something that could only be described as a discount replica of a Kai's uniform. The shoulders were draping down. Hours waves.
They're so friendly. Oh, they're so friendly.
Kefla takes a pause to consider that. This line that was earlier. Dropping her smile and glancing off to the side for a moment.
Let's see.
It takes a while to file through the things her mentor has told her, given that she's always looking through a murderous red haze at him. But she remembers one insane anecdote he shared unprompted.
Oh yeah, he blew them to shit, huh?
Well, she waves back at ours. It's only polite, of course.
That earns a laugh.
Yay.
Oh,
Not the
sorry,
words
I've
people
made it
usually
pretty close.
use. But yes, I rather did.
Yes, I read.
She looked up at where the Kai was looking, squinting to try and see. Her tail flicked at the conversation behind her, but she didn't want to upset herself just yet.
This is a character who didn't make it into the tournament.
Yeah,
because
and also
they're-
I was looking through the Muse threads earlier. The person who made Kickpea deleted their account, so
Yeah. Gone.
No idea who that is.
Just as so many
Kickpea is
timelines
dead.
were in this tournament
You
most
want
of the
me to-
time.
anyway, who's this?
You want me to
who's this
read
weird
them?
guy?
Who's this guy?
Who's this guy?
Who's this weird
Oh,
guy?
a weird disappear?
Dear God.
A weird guy appeared.
Weird guy
Block
here.
of text for weird guy.
A mass of thick
He's a
black
special
hair
little boy.
tumbles onto the scene with a dull thump. With rickety limbs and his back turned to the others, Turnip rises to his feet. He whips his head in either direction to try and figure out where he is. He's never been in a place this clean in over a decade. Voices catch in his ears, but they speak a language he doesn't recognize. That is until one particularly familiar voice pierces through the rest. One that he knows all too well. One that had echoed in his mind ever since he was little. One that had haunted his every waking nightmare for thousands of restless, moonless nights. His breath catches crooked in his throat as he slowly turns to face it. The survivor freezes in place, his hollow monocular stare sharp enough to pierce through cinder block. His pulse drowns out all other noises. After a beat of stillness, a shaking clawed hand forms a loose point at the ice gin. Turnip's breaths get louder and louder until they merge into one long, continuous, vengeful screech. Suddenly, he's off to the races, baring his teeth and lunging at Frieza with all his might.
Both Hoopy and Enu are properly startled by this, but they're both just going to watch. Hashtag bystanders.
Did Burnup enter the scene by doing the invasion of the body
Yeah.
snatchers pod people screech at Frieza?
Yep. I'm grateful
Sorry,
to
That's
all of
scary.
you. I had never expected such a turnout, and I suppose there's still yet more to expect. I owe you all a great deal, and to the greatest
A sharp glance. A disturbance.
Arugula saw the fellow Saiyan rushing in and startled, standing up for a moment, then thinking better of it and sitting back down. She's like, oh, I see where he's going. No, like, she's like, oh, I see. Yeah, no, go for it.
Kefla shoots him a distasteful sneer. As much as they may not have been her Saiyans or anything, this guy's still scum bragging about something like that. Deep down, a quiet part of her wonders how a person could be so cruel. But outside, she puts a manic smile back on her face.
Don't see how that's supposed to scare me. You'd need a damn universe buster to put a scratch on me.
When Hours is
Milnak,
talking
this
Yeah.
Look at
Yes.
power scaling.
This was.
not get started!
Stop. No.
There was something missing from Hours' voice. A certain intent that was communicated with something else. Turnip would find themselves immobilized.
That time to walk in.
She sat
She
there.
is not gambling on one of those plastic chairs. Her ass is just standing there.
She did not sit. Fuck.
Boo! Boo this woman! Kefla's
No,
playing chicken
he's
with
too cool.
Frieza, so she can't break eye contact.
Your ability to move will be returned to you in time. For now, I ask that you make do with a more limited range of movement. Hours sighs.
I need to sit down.
Well, that just happened. Hoopy makes a face before glancing over to greet P with a wave. She's seen her at a few of these get-togethers at this point.
P gives her the butch nod.
The butch nod.
Yeah.
They have
Yes.
a moment. They have a P moment of P solidarity.
Hell yeah.
For context, I think the one in-person event they were like at together before was the species swap one that they were both Ice Gen or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
Hi. Are you guys as pumped for the prospect of an inter-universal punch-up as I am?
Seems fun. She's a killer dynamo!
Wow.
Woo! He's about to reply in kind when an ear-splitting shriek rips through the ring, expression scrunching into something seated squarely between confusion and disgust. Frieza turns to see a scraggly-looking Saiyan galloping toward him full tilt, snarling like they've gone and succumbed to rabies.
Yikes!
But before he could so much as lift a finger, they've been spirited away into what amounts to a plastic doll kennel, apparently confined for the time being. He opens his mouth and then closes it again, searching for something witty to say, but being frankly too dumbfounded to find anything sufficient, simply turns back to the fusion standing next to him and points a finger in the stranger's general direction. And that, my dear, is exactly why it needed to be done.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Sued
Mida
in
was
chat.
there.
Burn it FNAF jump scare sound. Yeah, pretty much.
And Mida was there.
And Mida
Who's
was
voicing
there.
Mida?
Mida was
What?
there.
I think Ricci had a thing.
I know I
Yeah.
can't voice Mida because Burnip and Mida have their funny little thing, and I don't want to just be talking to myself. all the
Zeely can
time.
be Mida.
Zeely.
Zeely is the time to shine.
No, my Zeely!
Go for it.
Might have been there for a good while now, able to just stand undetected with her back to the wall. She raised a brow, looking at the chairs in a circle. Are those plastic? Maybe this was a mistake.
Though still baring her teeth, Ethan a menacing smile, her nose does wrinkle up in a grimace when deer hisses out of his mouth. She spares a glance at what Frieza's talking about. This haggard Saiyan, now frozen in place, reminds her of the kids she, Caulifla, used to hang around. The Urshins, the No-Hopers, the Lost Saiyans who the rest of Sadala turned their backs on. Looking back at Frieza, her pulse pounds in her ears. He's gotten under her skin just fine without sharing a universe. Like I said, ain't shit to me.
Frieza knows very well how it looks when he's won the war on someone's mind. Smirking primly, he extends a hand to shake, tail tip twitching like a playful cat's. In that case, I look forward to a rousing battle. Cheers.
This
A weird
guy's
guy-
a little mean.
This Frieza guy
A weird
kinda
guy
making the Bible
reappears.
bad.
He's kind
I
of
don't like
Yeah.
your vibe.
Glancing to an arrogant Frieza, Ours decides to afford Turnip some motion. Not enough to throw a punch, but perhaps enough to voice some frustrations. Not fair for them to be excluded from the banter, Ours would posit. Besides, a participant being unwitting wasn't nearly as much of a concern as a participant being unwilling. This figure certainly seemed to have some fight in them.
Alright, I have to stand up for this one. Oh boy.
Stand. Stand.
Oh, we're locking. We're
Stand, boy.
reaching a level of locked in we've never seen before.
Turnip falls back into his faculties, but he finds his extremities still won't fully respond to him. Struggling against his restraints, he continues to try and thrash towards Frieza with every ounce of strength allowed to him. Not much conversating can be done amidst the hoarse growls and gnashing teeth, but his mouth does finally let a few words fall out in the Saiyan language. You! He keeps repeating. You made the moon disappear! Mama and Papa and everyone, they never woke up because of you! He never learned any stronger words to describe it, so he is limited to these rudimentary concepts. His eye with no tears left to cry never wanders from Frieza.
Oh dear.
Arugula felt her heart squeeze. Oh. You witnessed it, didn't you?
Mida zoned back into reality and saw the thrashing Saiyan. His shoulders went slack. He reminded Mida so much of herself when she was younger. On some unknown planet, helplessly pressing a contact button over and over on her scouter, only getting static in reply. The rage, guilt she felt for not being able to do something. Worst of all, the maddening confusion of it all. She wrapped her tail tight around her body and walked towards Turnip. And we're speaking in Saiyan, a dead language now. Mida was sure that the few Saiyans that did survive wouldn't be able to understand. But she could. Maybe she could offer words of comfort? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, little soldier. She was a bit rusty speaking in her mother tongue, hoping that her words came through clearly.
Arugula, however, was far more impulsive, rushing over to wrap him up in a likely unwise and unwelcome hug.
Hoopy startles at the quiet snatches of the language she catches. She doesn't know it herself, but she knows the words her mother uttered softly to her when she was little to help her get back to sleep. Turnip's anguish is certainly not unnoticed. Anu squeezes her hand reassuringly.
Well, this is just terribly awkward. Being a naturally curious sort of creature, Frieza had learned some Saiyan during his time commanding their armies, and so, shaking off the metaphorical rust, he's able to get the gist of what this disheveled individual is trying to say, upset at the way their business concluded, it seems, though he's not sure what they're on about with the specifics. Nevertheless, the spirit of casual competition has been thoroughly dampened. Ugh. His lips purse with displeasure. None of these people are the sort to recognize social hierarchy and wouldn't listen if he told them to shut up. Even worse, the playing field has been artificially leveled, so threats of violence are just about as meaningless. He wouldn't want to end his time in the ring early by becoming the primary target, would he? Sans. Never any fun. Worst of all is the new and unpleasant recognition of the atmosphere he's created and what must surely be a side effect of the softness his son and pet have carved into his frontal lobe. Frieza feels a pang of something adjacent to pity. Discomfort? Remorse, even? His expression sours. I think I'd recognize a Saiyan so distinct. He folds his arms, eyes narrow. Whichever Frieza robbed you of your precious satellite, it had nothing to do with me.
The sound of a language he can actually understand is already enough to jolt him a little from his rage-induced horse blinders, but the words spoken within it take him back to a moment in his life that that time itself thought it had buried deep enough to never be found. I wrote that weird, don't worry. A scene flashes in his mind of his mother laying on her bedroll, gently cupping his cheek with a sad, tired smile on her face. He stops, but only briefly. "No, let me go!" he protests, thrashing about in the sudden embrace. "Please, you have to... I need to... His head dips down to where his hair obscures most of his face, but he is still bound and determined to keep eye contact with the Overlord, if in the deepest Kubrick stare imaginable. The tears he couldn't find finally spill forth, hot as the blood that pumps through his veins at a breakneck pace. More than anything in the world, he wants the unfamiliar sounds coming from Frieza's mouth to cease. He wants him to be as silent as his home world is if only he could just wriggle his way out of these bindings.
It was all so suddenly awful. They hadn't experienced something like this. This wasn't playful banter, this wasn't joking with friends, this was just upsetting. This distinct void of joy couldn't sit well with them. How could it ever? In all these years of nothingness, the absence of emotion, of happiness, was little more than another monochrome wave washing against a gray shore, indistinguishable from both the what is and what was to come. But ours found themselves amused, entertained even before the event was to begin proper. To be devoid of that, it wasn't appropriate to stop this, to simply cage the beast back up. But it wasn't right to leave things as they were either. I misgendered them there. They would take an action, a mercy, pure intentioned and educated, but uninformed by the learned empathy that may drive one to taking such action. No, this was boredom. Bringing their hands together, the depths of space almost seemed shallow, as the vast darkness of the place between time was lit in plain white. It was a draining sort of light, as though the entire world was subsumed in fluorescent flame, graying and aged. Hopefully, this stunt would distract from the scene that unfolded before the would-be participants.
I think I've given you all ample time to talk through things.
Ours says with a frown. Moving forward, their body still catching the light incorrectly. Moving their hand through hair, flecks of stardust flowed from their mouth with a sigh.
We won't begin. Not just yet. Not until I'm sure we're getting all of those who intend to join. but I see no reason to hold off on it. Hold off. It simply
Oh.
means we're going to be wasting time creating.
Hold off, comma. Sorry, there should be a comma after the
Oh, but I see no reason to hold off. It simply means we're going to be wasting time creating noise.
Yes, a pause. A great deal of effort was put into considering Ours' next word. Then, taking a deep breath, Ours seemed to place their focus elsewhere. As their intent left their words, the weight
was felt elsewhere.
Perhaps in one's pockets, perhaps somehow slipped into the palm of one's hands. Allow me to discuss the proceedings of this tournament. They spoke with a profound hollowness. Placed on each of your persons is a coin. This coin has two sides. I'll ask you to look at both, but for the time being, only consider the number, the heads, so to speak. To the best of my ability, I've done my best to categorize each of you. My ability to manipulate others' power is limited, especially for those who possess a divine aspect or something close to it. Not that I can truly complain. It's an excellent power, and I haven't felt the need to usurp a god's station, so having the capability to do so is unnecessary. It does, however, mean I have to handle this in a more awkward way than is ideal. Rather than completely equalize everyone's power has been rounded. There are 8 possible outcomes for your heads. A simple scale, 1 to 7, on which the power relative to the creature Majin Buu. A 5, if you were curious. Some of you have received massive increases, some of you grave decreases. But then we skip a few steps. Instead of 8 to 11, we jump to 12. Those with a 12 are those I can properly round. As for why a 12 specifically, it's the amount of points a participant will get for eliminating you. Additionally, I hope to form teams. While the end goal will eventually be producing one winner, I intend to give a bonus to the team that accumulates the most points, rather than just the individual. I tried not to make too grave of a disparity, but it is inadvisable to give too much power to one who is not used to handling it. For what it's worth, none of you present are currently lower than a 3. And I suppose that's about it. Keep in mind what's on the tail side of your coin. It's not finalized yet, but that's how you'll find your teammate. You're welcome to compare numbers, though. You'll be counterbalanced by your partner. Strong with a weak, semi-strong with a semi-strong. And if you're not game for fighting other participants, there'll be some fighters I pulled from the depths of time. Most of those are worth around 10 points. Ours takes a deep exhale, pulls one of the shitty small plastic chairs out, and sits down. Then Ted seems to return to them.
That was a lot of talking. I still want to wait around for any late entrants, especially since I'd hate for someone to come in and have to do all this solo. Though I suppose nothing's stopping me from composing teams on the fly. How do we feel about waiting until, say...
1 year ago.
Yeah.
Gibberish.
You're in the past.
Gibberish.
This is regulation.
Yeah.
Sure, I've got nothing else going on. Hoopy muses as she inspects the number 7 on the back of her coin. She passes Enu a hopeful smile. The Kai sees the number 6 on hers.
P reaches into her shorts pocket. A 3. Her face twitches imperceptibly.
I forgot P was a 3.
She's fucking
My small
Doria
P.
maxing, bro.
No, not the Doria
hair.
maxing.
It's the fucking hair. A coin appears in Frieza's palm. Lifting it up to examine it, he finds the number 12 inscribed on the forward side. He's no idea of the scale he's working with, but 12 isn't a very large number now, is it? He'll have to take a better sample. Might I be so bold as to inquire, he asks, what my competition has been assigned? I do hope we're not keeping any secrets.
Rose straight up tuned Hours' explanation of the scale out. He's so fucking...
Bro straight up ignored it.
Listen.
He is the strongest bitch in the room, and he doesn't even know.
Might have felt the cold metal of the coin seemingly materialize into her palm. Her gaze drifted downwards to examine it and the number inscribed. 4. Is that good? Bad? I got a 4, she announced to the group.
7, announces Hoopy, casual, while Inu meekly shows hers off without a word.
No one's been hiding for long enough that they heard Ours' explanation. Where they were hiding is a complete mystery. Regardless, they procure a coin. My number is... They stare at the coin for a moment. This is the wrong coin. One moment. They reach into their cloak and pull out several different coins. None of them belong to the same person. It raises the question of where she even got all these coins. Ah, here it is. Hopefully.
Alright, time for more. Now Noel's bringing the comedic relief. Time for some upbeat music again.
I love you, Noel.
Nolan
Yeah.
comedic relief was not the phrase I was expecting.
Yeah.
I believe this is the correct coin. They clear their throat awkwardly. In any case, my number is a 3.
Frieza so does love to have his ego stroked. Red eyes sharp, the Emperor chuckles, a tittering, musical sort of sound, one slender finger hooked over his lips with the coin tucked neatly against his palm. My, he boasts. I knew I was in another league, but that's just no fun at all. Then, lifting his hand, he reveals his assignment to the group. Any other 12s around? I wouldn't want to end this tantalizing tourney before it's even had a proper chance to start.
Why, at 7s, a 12 is speaking.
I am a 3.
Stand in order, sevens. The 12 is here.
I'll have to
And
have a
no.
talk with Ruchi about the power scaling of Maida versus T later, you know, just a casual chat between two friends. Anyway, the fused Saiyan quickly went to check as soon as she was told she had something that showed off how badass she is. She heard Hours' explanation. Something Majin Buu, that guy who the old man insists didn't kick his ass. Something 3 to 7. She grins as she sees her own rating at the upper end of that scale.
Oh yeah, read and weep!
She thrusts her coin marked 7 out to the rest of the competitors. Upon seeing Hoopy is also a 7, Kefla feels amped up and eager to see what she can do. Then Frieza shows his number.
What? No way your scrawny ass got a higher number than me!
Hoopy just rolls her eyes at Frieza and doesn't rise to his bait. She doesn't believe for an instant that the gap is actually that big.
With no idea what's going on, Turnip's clenched fist is suddenly filled by a coin. He may not be able to read, but he can recognize numbers. In the haze of his fervor, his confusion tears his gaze away to inspect it, turning it over and around in the light. 3?
The boy can count.
Thank God.
I can catch a 1.
Though he manages to suppress the snide cackle threatening to leap from his throat, Frieza isn't so lucky with his tail, which gleefully wriggles behind him as he rolls the coin between his fingers. My scrawny ass, dear primate, has been training vigorously for the past 3 years, and it took a mere 4 months and change for me to contend with the gods. If memory serves, you've only achieved Super Saiyan Grade 2, yes? He cocks his head, arms folded loosely at his chest. I wouldn't act so surprised. That said, he turns to the mysterious organizer of the event. Might I request to reduce my tally by a point or 2 in the interest of good sportsmanship? I'd sorely like to stretch my legs, but there isn't much of a point in participating with my victory so summarily assured.
Hoopy exaggerates a gag, only stopping when Enu nudges her with her elbow.
Kefla growls in frustration.
Like hell you have! You weren't even on the map in that tournament! Who'd you eliminate again? The frickin' Boy Scout?
She scoffs, balling her fists up beside her. Not all Saiyans present have a moderating factor like Hoopy.
Kefla really
Most
wanted
of my...
to put you on the planet.
Put you on the planet! Most of my eliminations were sadly forgettable, he shrugs. Though you would have been gone by the time Goku and I forced that Jiren fellow out of the ring.
Kefla, like, what are your feats?
Blink, blink, blink.
Blink, blink,
Oh no, you didn't do shit to Jiren. That was...
Her train of anger is suddenly interrupted by an errant detail he mentions.
Who the hell is...
Not the old man's son, right? That was Go... Hank or something. Where the hell has she heard the name Goku before?
Go, Hank!
You
Go,
want
Hank.
to have your tally.
Oh, Hank, that's your brother.
Confusion?
Ours' gaze would sharpen as a distinct look of conflict clear on his face. Ah, I misgendered them again! This is pathetic.
Fuck.
This is
Forcing them to be he/himmed.
I
I
can't
don't
do that.
This is so sad.
Limiting your power to this extent is about as much as I'm capable of. Granted, I suppose there's other ways of limiting your strength if you really wish for that.
Weighted clothing.
Yeah.
We all say it like that one video that's like, fuck dreams and have fun.
No, now that they have decided to include themselves, sidles up near, but not quite directly next to Frieza in smooth motion. He's the only person here that they've really interacted with. They tip their head to him in acknowledgement. They don't know how much personal space he would be comfortable with, so they err on the side of not being too close. They do perk up when Ours speaks. I'm aware of some of these methods. They raise their hand helpfully like they're a student in a classroom.
Right.
I employ them myself for training purposes. Null then fails to elaborate. Good job, Null.
Good job, Noel.
Noel.
The ex-soldier ignored the other's banter and kept close to Turnip. Managing to catch the number on his coin, she hummed softly. 3, huh? We're pretty close in number. She squinted her eyes at Turnip, realizing a crucial detail. I don't think I got your name, actually. I'm Mida. Yours?
Turnip flinches at the continued conversation. He hasn't had someone address him in so long that it's hard for him to remember what to do. His tail flicks under him cautiously. Maita? He says slowly, as if studying each syllable. His eye locks onto her to scan for some indication of a threat. Since it found none on her, it resorted to staring out into space, being sure to keep Frieza in the periphery. Turnip.
Yeah, you can see this was dubbed from Japanese because Maeda is 3 syllables. Clearly.
Oh.
Japanese Mida as opposed to American Mida.
Miter.
Walks away with my ass out.
Ricci is...
Don't look at me.
It's apparently pronounced Maida for that reason.
Maida?
No, that
Like a
apparently-
tomato.
Yeah, like a tomato.
From the mouth of Ricci.
Right, from the mouth of
From
Ricci.
the horse's mouth.
It's Maida. It's Maida. It's Maida. It's Maida. It's Maida. It's Maida. I will not fail Richie again.
You don't have to.
Thank
It's
you.
really-
You did not fail. You're fine. You had literally no way of knowing.
I've heard both.
I'm gonna lock in. Sorry, continue.
You're free to believe whatever helps you sleep at night, but I think the record would disagree, chuffs Frieza, as would those detestable brats they call the Omni Kings. As would the squashed remains of the tail tip he dropped toward the end when Jiren swung him around like a limp ragdoll. But nobody needs to hear about that one. Null scoots over to him, looking antsy. Have you chosen yourself a partner? I so despise when people make decisions for me. He doesn't really have much reason to protest, though. For what it's worth, he likes them well enough. Now, to address the issue at hand. Ashamed to hear you can't suppress my power on my behalf, sighs the Emperor. Even more than unilateral decision-making, I hate resorting to this. Drawing in a long, full breath, he sucks in his stomach and holds tight, coiling his power deep in the pit of his stomach with an exaggerated Valsalva maneuver. His body shifts and changes, shrinks a couple inches, sprouts a pair of sharp horns. And a few uncomfortable moments later, he's confined to his final suppression. He releases his breath with a sigh. This should do for now.
Hoopy stares for a second before leaning in to whisper some sort of joke about this new form to Enu. She gets elbowed again a little harder and pouts while Enu does her best to look put upon.
Yeah.
She made a joke about something horny, for the record.
Awesome.
Turnip. All her years of her life, Maida wasn't sure she ever met a turnip. She would connect the name to memory, that was for sure. The pain that radiated through this person was palpable. Turnip's eyes never fully seemed to leave Frieza. What exactly had happened to their version of Vegeta? She averted her own gaze from the tyrant to focus on it, her voice low as to not bring attention to them. I do not know the exacts of what happened to you. I know that pain and rage in your eyes all too well. Trust me, he cannot hurt you here.
Before she can remember the identity of this elusive Goku, Frieza reverts to one of his suppression forms, striking an even greater resemblance to the form which Frost used to face the public in Universe 6. Kefla sneers like someone pissed in her meat on bone.
Just fine against the Chrome Dome, but it'll sure as hell be more fun pounding this face in.
Null blinks several times. By the forces that be, Frieza is so incredibly difficult to read in person that it could make their head spin. They don't formulate a response in time as the smaller of the two Aishin becomes even smaller. More blinking as their thoughts stop dead in their tracks. Right. Null had forgotten he could do that. I was referring to weighted clothing when it came to evening the odds, but I suppose that would work as well. Another pause. I also forgot about the team aspect. I simply approached you because you are a familiar face. If you are interested in a different partner, you are welcome to do so. Null then proceeds to slink backwards a bit, sand-colored tail wrapping around one of her legs. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Their blank white eyes are neutral, but they're facing the floor more than the people around them.
Oh no.
Weighted clothing? Was that what they had been referring to? Frieza hadn't even considered the option. Well, too late now. Besides, clothing on the battlefield, how unhygienic. They'd probably give him an outfit not suited to his taste or figure, too, which would just be horrid. Once he's settled, his eyes flit downward. Seems he's given Null a case of cold feet. Do they think he's outright rejected them? It's so easy to forget that not everyone shares his confidence. I'm not a fan of tight outerwear. If I must restrain myself, I'd rather do it without making any undue fashion statements. His tail tip pokes at Null's calf. But you needn't worry. If I must fight by someone's side, I'd much prefer to be someone I can tolerate.
Before we go on to the next report, I just have to say real quick, I love Goji's prose so much.
Yeah, Goji's great.
So good.
Goji's great.
Fuck, dude.
Goji will return from the war.
Goji, please. I can only be your son for so long.
Null supposes that Frieza's reasonings make sense.
Sorry, I was gonna make a joke. Null supposes his toes are roses.
My toes are not roses.
They could be.
How do you supposes?
I don't know.
My toes are roses.
My toes are roses.
Anyway, Blaze, you can.
Roses.
Null supposes that Frieza's reasonings make sense. Their head tips slowly to the side like a curious puppy. Ah, noted. I do appreciate his clarifications, but they also get the sense that he wouldn't be a particular fan of that being pointed out in public. Reputation and all. That's how that works, right? They decide to just nod along. I also find you tolerable. They agree. I'm eager to see you in action. Should also be noted that Null has been unintentionally ignoring just about everyone else this whole time. Whoops.
I'll bet you are. It's been some time since I fought anyone in this form. He curls his hands into fists and, taking a mock battle stance, throws a test punch. His shoulder cracks audibly. Ouch. He rolls it a few times for good measure, though it doesn't do much to loosen the knot. And I've just remembered why. Ha!
Hours looks on, and with a quieter tone of voice, mutters out something to the effect of, if that's what works for you, sure. Flicking their hand towards Frieza, a new coin found its way onto their person.
I've updated it. It should more accurately reflect your current level of power. It was certainly a surprising drop. I hope the new number doesn't disappoint you, especially given I expected you to stay in this suppressed form for the length of the tournament. Unless you're suddenly willing to take on the 12 once more.
Ad hoc.
Ad hoc. Rather than a 12, the heads of the new coin would show an unambiguously middling 5. The combined suppression left him comfortably average relative to the other competitors.
The new number does, in fact, disappoint him. He hadn't meant to suppress quite so much. Ideally, he would have gotten a nice workout in and then ended things with a curb stomp. At only a 5, he'd have an uphill battle on his hands. And what if that boastful fusion were to show him up? Well, he'll just jot it down as his training for the day. C'est la vie. Don't put too much stock in my defeat, he scoffs. This was the form I destroyed planet Vegeta in, after all. And several days, decades ago at that, not several days.
Several days ago.
Several days ago. I was born last week and then I destroyed planet Vegeta.
Son of a bitch,
I remember killing Bardock yesterday.
Yeah, because blowing up a planet is so hard. No one should be blowing up planets anyway, Hoopy. Well, yeah.
He cannot hurt you here. The words bounce around loosely in Turnip's mind with no point of reference to latch onto. Another wave of rage crashes into him when the Overlord's form reverts, now looking even more familiar in the survivor's memory. A low growl rumbles from his chest. Despite Mida's reassurance, he tries to move again, but catches on his restraints. However, this time it is not a lunging motion, but rather a sidestep to put himself between Frieza and Maida.
It's displays of social bonding like this that make Frieza?
Frieza.
I'm
Anyways,
a golden Frieza.
I'm Lord Frieza.
he's got a list.
Frieza.
A golden Frieza.
Okay.
It's displays of social bonding like this that make Frieza loathe mammals so much. How grotesque. He curls his upper lip.
Null assumes that Frieza's expression is due to stiff joints. Unfortunately, her social battery is a bit drained, so she opts to say nothing and save the energy for the actual tournament.
Because Birch...
Amanda will appear, but Birch is not.
Oh my god. I think that... I volunteer Rebs as tribute to voice Mandolin.
Oh gosh.
I think that Rebs can do an appropriately, like,
The Mandoling.
The Mandoling.
Okay, let me give it a shot.
Quick, gather the Mandolings.
Hey guys, it's me, Mandolin.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ace did.
Mandolin was never really known for being on time, which seems obvious as he emerges, just pulling on a vest as he hurtles through the rift to get to the other side. The never-stopping movement. I'm here! Fuck, I'm not too late to fight, am I?
He glances over at him. Nah, still waiting.
Good, good. He says, breathing hard. He's got a few bruises, suggesting he was fighting before this. And ended a fight just to come fight more. Also, hey P! Size up the competition yet? He says with a grin, giving her a friendly punch to the arm.
She puffs out a little sigh, glancing over at the crowd assembled. Familiar faces. She looks to the historical heavy hitters like Frieza and Kefla when she says that, but then her eyes trail over to that bedraggled Saiyan talking with Maida. Something's familiar about them too.
Retrin, you're cutting it a little close.
11th hour.
Hours blinked in surprise, though their face remained fairly still and unemotional otherwise.
Let's hope there's another one like you, otherwise you may have quite a task ahead of you.
Solitude.
Hours flicked something forward. Unlike all the other contestants, this coin was instead quite apparent. Hours having launched it right at Madeleine's forehead. Despite the discrepancy in administering the tokens that discern details important to the game, Hours' expression was perfectly neutral. Despite this, their intention was still as clear to read as
always. I was just
as
gonna
it
read it
ever
as you were
was.
saying it, sorry.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. No, please keep it up. Even if their face showed not even a modicum of emotion.
Mandolin nods,
Modicum.
following her gaze slowly over each of them. He seems thrilled over getting to fight powerhouses like that, but he also seems to pause seeing that saying, "He's seen them before?" Mandolin can't quite tell. His introspection's interrupted by a little token smacking into his forehead and then almost falling onto the floor. Before he grabs it, boo! I can handle anything you throw at me. Let's see, the token says, 6? What does that mean?
She frowns and shoots Mandolin a look like, "Since when were you stronger than Majin Buu?" Her
He's
coin
like-
works with a
He's like General Rildo.
in her fist. It's true. He's just he's up
He
there.
throws
He's in
up his
some
hands,
rarefied air.
struggling. He doesn't get what the numbers mean.
Struggling.
The struggler.
No, I thought Reb said
Absolute
struggling.
cinema.
He throws up his hands, shrugging. He doesn't get what the numbers mean. But if he did, he'd probably get upset it wasn't higher. Eagle boy.
Damn. If an Namekian knocked him out, that'd be really too far. An hour
Taking a deep breath,
appears.
the esoteric hosts would begin to count. Sporadic at first, they counted the minutes.
8, 7.
So on and so forth. It continued down in consistent succession up until the last minute. 59, 58, before the count accelerated. Closing their eyes, for the time being, their intent was set on something big, as the very void of the crack of time began to shift.
Yeah,
Well-
it should be tenser now. Things are happening.
Slowly. But it certainly was shifting.
Arms folded, foot tapping on the ground, Kefla waits for reality to bend in on itself and make the fighting start to happen. She still hasn't grasped the whole duelist concept, although Hours hasn't exactly announced the teams yet. One might accuse them of making this up as they go along.
No, this is preposterous.
Noah's off to the side again, taking slow and deep breaths in a meditative stance. No reason to get all worked up when the fight hasn't even begun yet. Lots of fights.
Okay. Yeah, this
So
is
much
this is
hours
why I'm like,
This is where
Ross,
we
if
get
you
weird.
ever need a tag out,
No, I'm having
Uh,
a great time.
awesome. This is Hours in character, actually. Your response.
Real life Hours.
I gotta say, this is pretty fantastic.
Well, then let me also say this: Ross is also having fun. I'm having a great time.
Yay!
Yay!
I've
The vast
you haven't been
transparent
able to
ground.
see it, but I've been like every so often getting up and just punching the ground, being like, "My friends are so cool."
I'm wriggling in my bed like a worm.
I'm glad I put my trust in you. I fucking love how you're reading for Hours.
Yay!
Yay! The vast transparent grounds
This
of the
thing
waiting
is
room
really
had
good.
gradually
I'm sorry,
had been
I'm really
gradually
quiet.
shifting to an opaque gray. Though it took until the countdown went to seconds for the change to become noticeable.
6 teams, 3 points, a triangular arena, no fatal injuries. If you're about to be done in, you'll be whisked off into the spectator stand. Same with getting knocked out of bounds. Doesn't matter if you can fly, that's an elimination, and you'll be leaving your coin behind for the enemy to score. Speaking of scoring, the point of the tournament is to be the last one standing, not the last team. These points provide an incentive to work together. Once you have someone's coin, you'll need to deliver it to the center of the arena. My assistant, Days, will be there to collect. I hope it goes without saying, but you can't cash the coin of someone that hasn't been eliminated. No cashing in your own coin. Last of which to address before we begin, I've tried to take some inspiration from history in dividing up the 3 areas of the arena. Let me know if you recognize anything.
Hours smiles with a look of innocent pride.
Homage.
Tournaments are their special interest.
Take a look at the referee to sort things out. And good luck, have fun.
In
Good luck,
fact,
have fun.
everyone was suddenly sent spiraling out to the corners of the still-forming arena. Mountains and buildings erupting up as they traveled, blocking sight of all but those they traveled with. The last sight of the waiting room would be the lone piece of space Hours stood on, flying above the tournament grounds, stretching out into a spectator stand. It flashed a virulent purple, creating a domed wall of light over the arena. Too far or too high. Both were grounds for elimination. I do think there's a tiny
where
bit
the
more
split
stuff
happened.
before we can start with the threads.
Yeah,
I
there's like
forget.
a little bit
Yeah.
here.
Hours took a long exhale, letting themselves breathe out and fill their lungs with accomplishment. Doesn't matter how it goes from this point onward. They had their entertainment. The grandest spectacle was soon to be underway. I suppose there's still some work for them to do.
Well, I guess it's time for us to get Mario sucked into one of these paintings.
God. I loved a sprawling landscape of metal and high-tech buildings. No matter how far you look, From the end of this corner, there is only a horizon-eclipsing cityscape inscribed on Enu and Frieza's coin. Team 2. For Mida and Turnip, Team 1. Thankfully, or perhaps unthankfully, these pairs were placed a distance away from each other. Enu and Frieza found themselves at the top of some corporate skyscraper, interrupting a business meeting of various spherical robots, whereas Mida and Turnip landed roughly to the side of the road, disregarded by the many automated citizens in their hasty transit. It was a bit of an odd placement,
but surely didn't
demand any critical thought. Allegory.
Enu reflexively encases herself in a pink bubble when she goes flying, so when she lands, it results in a bit of a super monkey ball situation, where she rolls around a bit and bounces against the ledge at the edge of the roof. She only opens her eyes when she comes to a stop after rolling back to the center of the rooftop, dispelling the bubble and righting herself with an embarrassed air. I've got to fix her hair a bit.
Oh, girl.
My, and here Frieza thought they'd be fighting in some nondescript arena. He certainly hadn't expected ours to construct a city to play as their stage. Landing tidily on his feet, he regains his bearings just in time to watch Enu do her best impression of a pinball. Impressive. Whether he's referring to the landscape or his teammates' exquisitely clumsy entrance is anyone's guess.
One of the highlights of this whole tournament for me was just the haterism that arose between Frieza and Enu and continued into the chat room.
It's so funny. The vibes here suck.
These are some of the worst vibes I've ever come across.
It's true.
These vibes are fucking rank.
Frieza, chosen voice, impressive.
Enu clears her throat in embarrassment, now on her feet again, getting her bearings for a moment. I thought... Then, shaking her head and accepting the reality before her, giving Frieza a somewhat serious look. Does it say Team 2 on the back of your coin?
It does indeed. He tosses her the coin to examine. Seems we're stuck together for the time being. Be warned, I'm quite the independent thinker. His tail sways rhythmically. That said, I don't believe we've been introduced. My name is Frieza. You may address me by title if you feel so inclined. And you are?
Enu catches the coin to inspect it. There is an expression of thoughtful consideration on her face for a second before she does a polite curtsy, somehow managing to hold on to her magic staff as she does so. I am Enu, Supreme Kai of Universe 6-7. It's nice to make your acquaintance properly, Lord Frieza. If you wish to take the lead, then do so, by all means. I'm more capable in a support role than as a frontline fighter in any case. But of course, I will speak my mind should I feel it necessary. There is a bit of steel in her when she says that, but she smiles as she straightens back up again, opening her palm to let the coin float back over to its owner. Our opponents can't be too far away. Should we scout?
A Supreme Kai. The Cosmic Order really does love its practical jokes.
No shit.
Frieza returns her smile. His eyes stay sharp. Yes, I'm sure. A pleasure. As I'm sure you're aware, I've significantly reduced my own combat capabilities in the interest of keeping things equitable, so your support will be appreciated, whatever form it chooses to take.
If you need a protective bubble, I have that on lock. With a guileless smile.
I think I'll manage. His kindly expression falls short of his eyes. Shall we, then? I don't know if there's a time limit to this whole affair, and as much as I enjoy good company, I'd rather not lose by default.
Right. Let's find our friends so we can get the main show underway.
Oh God's Turnip is in yet another new location against his will. Well, at least the Overlord isn't here anymore, but what are all these scary metal things scooting around everywhere? He barely even notices that Maida is nearby. His propensity for violence in the face of adversity is contested. What are my roommates screaming about? I'm so sorry.
I thought that was dogs.
No,
I also thought that was dogs, and then I thought it was hyenas.
That's the passers-by on the street.
Yeah.
It's the blood party. On Planet M2.
He instead resorts to scampering a short distance away from the road to hide, curling in on himself to take up as little space as possible.
Maida stumbled around.
I'm sorry. That was a good noise.
Cute. I'm good at noises. I'm good at those. Maida stumbled around unceremoniously, struggling to get her footing after suddenly being thrown into an unknown place. She observes the robots meandering about their business, not even aware that she was there. So her gaze doesn't linger for long. She flipped the coin over in her palm. Team 1, it said. She held the old child's taunt about first being the worst didn't apply here. Big place. The others might be miles away. We should... Turnip? He was curled up in a ball a bit away from her. This place must be freaking him out. Poor kid. She rushed over, kneeling down beside him and shaking him softly to bring him back into reality. Hey now, it's okay. Come on, little soldier. We have a battle to fight. When there was no response, she furrowed her brows. Maybe... Turnip?
Get the fuck up, samurai. We got a city to
We
burn.
got a city to burn, boy!
We got a city to sit.
Do you even want to be here to do this?
With a sharp gasp through his nose, Turnip shrinks away from Maida's touch. His shaking hands move away from the covering his head so he can look look around again. What is this place? He mutters. What's going on? He doesn't dare let his voice volume go higher than barely above a whisper, lest the mechanical crowd might hear him, and a million different scenarios for what might happen if they do crash against the walls of his mind and torment him.
Oh, Turnip.
At least she's getting a response now. That's good. She folded her arms and looked around with him. It's a city, I think. Not sure what's up with those robots. Seem harmless enough, though. When that Hours person said tournament, she was imagining maybe a ring or something more confined. This vast open area unsettled her a bit, but she tried not to let it show. She let out a deep breath, calming her own rising anxieties before speaking. We've been brought here to fight others. It's a tournament. She opened her scarred palm to show Turnip the coin. Look here. This, we're Team 1. I'm willing to bet that whoever's on Team 2 are the ones we have to eliminate.
Fighting... eliminate... Turnip still doesn't quite understand, but he's becoming gradually more on board with it now that he knows that he has someone on his side that he can at least begin to kind of trust. He lifts his head up, sniffs the air like a wolf tracking its prey, and hesitantly starts to come out of his hiding place. He may not be able to sense ki, but he knows that smell. As he scans the city, he suddenly stops and locks onto a tall building a good distance ahead. This way, he instructs in a focused monotone. And with that, he's off to the races yet again, deftly bobbing and weaving through between metal pedestrians at a startling speed.
Fucking Umamush ass.
Yeah! Made a voice, oh my goddamn horse. I gotta watch my horse.
He locked in.
My horse. My horse.
Maida blinked in astonishment as Turnip raced off. It's like he became a whole different person. She felt relieved and oddly proud. He seemed to be on board and pulled out of whatever rut he was previously in. She protectively wrapped her tail around her waist and followed him silently, sneaking a glance at the sky. No moon. Does this place even have days and nights? She had the crushing feeling that she wouldn't be able to fall back on the Uzaru form if things got dicey. Maybe she was being too paranoid, thinking about even using the Uzaru form this early into the match. Maida rolled her eyes at her thoughts. They would be up against foes with similar strength. It's not like she's going to fight Frieza or anything.
Yeah.
Frieza, who might... Frieza, who Maida is definitely not going to have to fight, has made many strides since his first encounter with his nemesis on planet Namek, chief among which is the ability to sense energy. Not that he's amazing at it. In fact, his expertise has yet to be refined. But in a scenario such as this, it hardly needs to be, as the robotic denizens of Ours Conjured City don't have any energy to sense. In fact, once he's furrowed his brow and put out feelers, he finds he doesn't have to focus near as hard as he had anticipated. What a pleasant surprise! His true form's energy is overwhelming, even to him, but with that power stymied by his suppressed state, he can pinpoint other signatures much more easily. It doesn't take too long for him to determine what direction they ought to be headed. They're down to the south, Frieza says, graciously informing Anu of his intent with a finger pointed towards the streets below. He floats upward just as neatly as he'd landed, extending Anu the further politeness of waiting for her to follow. We have a tournament to win. Be a good little goddess and don't slow me down.
As she lifts off, she gives a somewhat rebellious raise of her eyebrow to Frieza, but still, she's determined not to be the one to break the peace first. So she nods sternly as she floats up to follow after him. Right then, let's see who we're up against today.
Following his nose, the survivor feels more determined than he's ever felt in his life. He pushes over a few robots on his hunt just to make sure nothing stands in his way, and that's when he sees it. A little shape in the sky. He points at it to make sure Maida can see it and calls out, "There!" He ducks his head below the layer of bustling pedestrians to try and reclaim some element of stealth.
They're close. Frieza can tell. The energy he's been tracking grows clearer and clearer in his senses. It feels... spiky? Yes, spiky, that's the word. Like how it might feel to grab a bunch of blunt nails in a bare hand. I know you're down there, he calls. No need to draw things out. There's no element of surprise. Why not come and say hello?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Amazing.
Maida lifted her head to look at where Turnip was pointed. There they are. Their opponents, but they're hard to see from up there. Who is that? Her ears twitch, straining to listen to the voice calling out to them. Funny. It almost sounds like... You must be fucking joking. Maida looked to Turnip, then to Frieza, then to Turnip again, before sighing in resignation. Let's just go. We need to be on equal footing with them.
Coming to a stop alongside Frieza, Anu calls out in perfectly fluent Saiyan. Her accent is very upper crust. Must be using magic to project her voice. I apologize for my teammates' behavior in advance. I'm looking forward to an exciting and enlightening spar.
My god.
Maida, like they were down to
nerd.
Apologizing for him in advance still kills me. Like, yeah, I know how this is gonna go.
Maida blinks a few times upon hearing this deity speak Saiyan to her. Clear as crystal. Bit unsettling. This is a load of barnacles. She stared at Anu for a bit before giving her a begrudging nod and folding her arms. Just because she despises Frieza. Oh,
sorry.
We went somewhere. Maida blinks. Help!
We went somewhere.
Okay, just because she despises Frieza and everything he stands for doesn't mean she should treat his teammate as an extension of him.
Even if it's in a language he understands, Turnip has never heard those words that big before. His eye darts between the three as if the simplified version of those words lies between them. What does that mean? He whispers to his teammate. A burning sizzle boils under his skin, growing more than tense the longer he stays put. He'd be clawing his way up the side of the building by now if Maida hadn't said that they should be on equal footing.
Frieza's understanding of the native Saiyan tongue is just barely decent enough for him to pick up on Anu's meaning. He scowls, folding his arms disapprovingly as he hovers overhead. You speak as though I've hatched some pernicious scheme, he scoffs. But I assure you, I've done nothing of the sort. He hovers gracefully to the ground just before his opponent's hideaway. See, I'm the pinnacle of good sportsmanship. Spreading his arms wide and his smile wider, he addresses the other team with a mischievous... I can read, I swear.
Mischievous.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I don't know why I did
with
that.
With a mischievous glimmer in his eye. I recognize that energy. One of you must be that Saiyan who attempted a preemptive assault on my person in the holding room. I'm sure you're itching to fight, aren't you? Go on, then. I'll be generous and let you make the first move, though I make no promises of holding back.
Anu doesn't look very abashed about being caught out, just rolling her eyes again and following him down. She stands ready, both hands clutching her magic staff. She would likewise wait for one of the Saiyans to make a move first.
Her heart pounded in her chest. She could barely process Turnip's question. She grabbed Turnip's shoulders and pulled him towards her. The fur on her tail started to stand up. It means it's time to fight. Hit hard and hit fast, little soldier. Do not pull any punches. They won't be. He won't be. Do not let him win. And don't... Maida's voice got softer, and she moved her head to the side so the opposing team couldn't hear or read her lips. Don't let that monster know how scared you are. Pulling away, she flashed a toothy grin and flipping her head back to her opponents. She's probably never gotten an opportunity to do something like this. Better make the best of it. Making the first move, Maida dashed forward, focusing a great deal of her energy into her open palms. She'd never get to use this feeling, almost electric. The closer she got to Frieza, the harder it was to ignore the flight response screaming in her head. But with gritted teeth, she persisted. Scared. Maida has been scared before, that's for certain. This is a different type of fear entirely. The type of fear a herding dog might feel facing off against a hungry wolf. I need to have a dark confession before Bug proceeds with the next line. I keep nearly saying Mater.
Mater.
Evil, but I understand. I understand.
He was there too.
Radiator spray.
He was there too.
Also,
Turnip.
pity party over. The crackers have fixed me. I will be able to voice anybody if they want me to.
Whoa!
It's called I forgot how to take care of myself. Crackers fix everything. Shout out Sodium.
My foods.
Frieza can't smell fear, per se, but he knows well what it looks like. How fitting, then, that the first pair to face him should be a couple of cornered monkeys. He watches with narrow-eyed alertness as they deliberate amongst one another, strategizing, no doubt, that what strategy could do a lowly mammal any good against the Emperor of the Universe. He chuckles to himself, tail lashing with anticipation, energy coiled like a loaded spring. Where once he would have been complacent about the tells of an incoming attack. After all, why bother learning to dodge or block when nothing could so much as break his skin? Now that he's been through the rigors of real combat, he reacts almost unconsciously to the sight of Maida's tensing muscles. His smile doesn't waver when she launches herself at him, hands enveloped in ki, and, whipping a splayed hand to his front, he summons a pleasantly pinkish shield to counter her attempt at a jab. Ah, he jeers. It's part of the fun for me, but you'll probably want to swallow that terror of yours. It'll make you sloppy. Then, with a downward slash of his outstretched hand, he pops the protective bubble into a barrage of stinging bullets. Should Maida fail to react in time, the concussive force could send her flying.
Fear. Fear is paralyzing. Anger is motivating. Fear swallows itself up within Turnip, wrapping and turning itself inside out until its contents spill forth into pure, unadulterated anger, the likes of which has been left to writhe and fester for far too long. The jangling of the chain attached to the cuff on his ankle has never been so loud, ringing out in a cacophonous melody to the staggering tempo of his own boiling heartbeat. It tells of every single hungry day he spent locked in that bunker, waiting for anyone to wake up. It tells of the horrors of those who found him and chose to chain him up and interrogate him instead of just putting him down. It tells of a father's final embrace, a mother's final reassurance, a royal family's final decree. It tells of every flashing memory that has led up to this very moment. Full speed ahead, he charges at Frieza and rears his hand back into claw formations. His goal is to clamp his hands around his opponent's throat so that he can tear it out once and for all, but his hands waver around the region above the Overlord's shoulders. Those serrated nails could catch the cheek, the neck, the eye, the ear hole, the bio armor. It didn't matter. So long as they find purchase somewhere and pierce deep enough to bleed, that's the only thing he has on his mind.
As Anu expected, the two Saiyans are immediately focused on Frieza and only Frieza. She would be foolish not to take advantage of this. With a quiet hum, she lifts her staff and abruptly disappears from view, a short-lived invisibility spell allowing her to reposition to a spot to the rear flank of both her opponents. When she reappears, it's with a spell already building at the crown of her staff, a glittering pink light which, after a moment, bursts in a rain of sparkles that fall down over the fake M2. Their immediate effect is not apparent. As far as the Frieza or the Saiyans can tell, she just put on a light show.
Reacting time, she does not.
She does not.
Fuck! Why have both of you go young mode?
I had to do that quietly, I'm sorry.
Her eyes wide as the bubbles pop. The bullet hit hard. Made her send backwards. Luckily, she wasn't sent to her teammate. Unluckily, she happens to collide with the concrete wall of a nearby building. A small crater and dust formed from her impact. Okay, cool. All right, yeah. This is really happening. Her head was throbbing as, she put her hand on the back of it. She felt something wet. She didn't need to look to know what it was. No time to worry about that now, however. That is a problem for the future, not running purely on adrenaline, Maida. She looked at the lights, confused. What did that do? Was it meant to do anything?
Frieza's expecting a warrior, not an animal. Just as Maida ricochets off a distant skyscraper and the Emperor's guard is lowered, a pair of clawed hands swipes into his field of vision, and it's all he can do to move his throat out of harm's way before a set of jagged nails collides with his right cheek. A spurt of blue blood splatters on the concrete ground. Yowling with indignation, Frieza whirls about, whipping at his assailant with the blunt mass of his tail. Get your dirty claws off of me!
You damn dirty ape.
Bam! The impact of the tail against Turnip's lower chest steals the wind from his lungs and sends him skidding across the ground. However, this does anything but slow him down since there was no snap sound or cracked feeling. The faint iron taste bubbling in the back of his throat goes largely unnoticed. Following a half-second pause to cough and catch up with the recoil, he immediately gets back up and charges back in with the intent to wrap his arms around Frieza's neck or head and carve his face up from behind.
Albeit very slowly, Frieza may notice those loose sparkles flying around, gravitating toward the wound. It is in fact a sort of healing magic, which will slowly close up wounds over time. Not enough to keep up with the pace of the battle on its own, but it seems like the passive healing spell Anu has put over the arena isn't going anywhere. Plus, regen. The Kai, meanwhile, decides to do her best to keep Frieza from facing another 2-on-1, at least for a minute. She aims her staff towards Maida, where she's still at the wall she flew into, ribbons of magical energy flying out. If they connect, they'll wrap around and momentarily immobilize her.
Some sort of magic sparkle lands on Frieza's cheek, and it burns like menthol. This distracts him just long enough for the feral Saiyan to launch another attack. He brings his arm to shield his face, and Turnip carves a messy scratch into the bioarmor. Do you mind, he spits, this time at Anu, letting me know next time before you sprinkle me with fairy dust? He swipes his arm back, knocking the Saiyan off balance, before loosing a firm, white-knuckled punch toward his malnourished gut.
Anu smiles innocently in response. Sorry.
Maida's able to just get out of the way, bring her knees up to her face, and using the momentum to propel herself off the wall. Lucky her. She hoped this luck would last. Healing magic, huh? She needs to distract Anu. Stop her from aiding Frieza. Saiyan wiped some dirt from her cheek and raised her hand, focusing on making a ball of energy, sights now on the Kai. No, at her staff. If this hits, It will hopefully cause Anu to drop her staff. Maybe Maida can pick it up, try and break it or something. Not exactly the wisest plan, but she's thinking on her toes here.
Anu is a little surprised by the quick reaction, so while she tries to twirl her staff and dispel the blast, it mostly just blows up in her face. She's unharmed, despite letting out a squeak of surprise, but the staff does drop from her hand and dissipates into a cloud of golden sparkles. Well, she reflects, she'll have to show Maida that she can still mix it up whether or not she's using her magic. Wheeling her limbs, Anu drops into a Fujian white crane ready posture, arms limber and ready as she beckons Maida to come try something.
Yes! She dropped the staff! Maida was a little disappointed that it simply disappeared. The childish part of her really wanted to see if she could actually break it. Hey, but this is good too. Small win for Maida! She recognized the fighting pose Anu got into, and her brow shot up in interest. It was definitely more her scene, but was it Anu's? Now, with a bit of time to actually think of what to do rather than just going in guns blazing, she careered into a back stance, ready to move backwards if needed. She strikes at the leg supporting Anu, attempting to break her stance.
Nimbly leaping over the leg strike, Anu lashes out for a pair of sharp mid-air kicks aimed at Maida's chin, right and then left, before using a burst of ki to propel herself back a few steps, where she can land in a deceptively dainty posture. Once there, she lets a ball of pink ki build on her hand, ready to let it loose if Maida closes the distance again. Why didn't she just talk hi Maida here? Was she stupid?
Yeah, why didn't you just kill her?
Consider that Maida is so awesome and pretty and cool and epic.
This is true.
This is true.
Her butch realness.
Her butch
realness.
Is she going to she going to have like a weird furry situation shit? Anyway.
Exactly.
Maida dodges the right kick, but isn't able to avoid the left. She stumbles to the side. A drawn-out hiss leaving her lips. Shaking off the pain, her eyes met Anu's. She's ready for her now. If she launches herself at the guy with no plan, it surely won't end well for her. Maida should feel scared, but she feels something else. Something nearly foreign to her due to how long it had been since she felt it. Competitiveness. That thing within every Saiyan that pushes them to keep going, even if the odds are stacked. And it felt exhilarating. She couldn't help it, cracking a grin at her opponent. She took inspiration from the guy and used her own ki to propel herself closer, throwing the beam of energy at Anu when she was close enough.
Anu can be seen to smile when Maida gets moving. She recognizes the other's enthusiasm and is pleased by it. The Saiyan seemed so dour before. It is a god's duty to help mortals, after all. As Maida closes the distance, Anu lets her ki blasts loose, aiming it to collide with the others and explode. The resulting cloud of dust and disintegrated concrete from nearby is her smokescreen as she repositions. She can sense Maida's ki, of course, but Maida can't sense a god's, presumably. She takes advantage of that to lurk in the smoke for a moment.
The punch is enough to keep him down for a little bit longer once he hits the ground. That iron taste can no longer be ignored as a spatter of blood hits the ground when he coughs, catching in his long dark hair that pools around him. Expending his energy so early is starting to catch up to him, and his elbows shake when he props himself up. Regardless, the prickling static of rage is not satiated, even if undercut by the needle-thin jab of fear when he looks up and realizes the scratch on Frieza's face is gone. No! Come on! He hisses as he staggers to his feet.
Come on, Annie. You ruined his favorite fucking holiday.
Well, it happens.
Cannot, in fact, sense God ki. Very wise assumption from Anu. She squints her eye to look through the dust to see the cat eye, but to no avail. She decides to ready one hand with a ball of energy, using the other to protect her face. Her ears twitch slightly, straining to hear any indication of her opponent.
A lengthy disappearing act is finally broken by a pink ki blast hurtling through the smoke towards Maida, parting the obstruction as it does. Anu is quick behind it, dashing in for a pair of elegant jabs, followed by an attempt to hit the other in the chest with her knee.
Much better. His opponent has been rendered breathless on the ground, just as things should be. No Saiyan street rat could ever topple Lord Frieza. Smirking, the tiny tyrant appears to vanish into thin air. and quicker than a heartbeat appears at Turnip's side, winding up a kick to knock him back into the dirt.
The leg collides with his ribs as Turnip folds like a book. There's definitely a few cracks hurt on that one, and his head hits the ground just hard enough to daze, but not enough to concuss. Breathing is getting more difficult for the survivor, but every staggered breath pumps 4 words into his mind. You can't give up. As he lays on the ground, he hauls himself up just enough to stare at Frieza directly. Sweat, blood, and saliva adhere thin strands of hair to his face. The pain is immense, boiling in his blood and chugging through his muscles, but it only motivates him to never stay down. Another racking cough clears his air passage for another defiant shout to rev himself up as he hurls himself to his feet. He rushes Frieza yet again with a focus on the leg that kicked him, but his goal is only to grab and not to scratch so that he may bring it to his mouth and bite it. Biting you.
Yay.
Heath dig into the chitin on Frieza's calf. What is with Saiyans and biting? With a yelp of disgust, Frieza shakes him off like one might a bug crawling up their leg, scowling at the dents left behind. Hi, that's me. Ugh, this Saiyan is so bedraggled, so desperate. I mean, just look at those piteous eyes. Yes, he's much too far gone for trouncing him to feel satisfying. Frieza clicks his tongue with displeasure. There's a lot less entertainment value in this than he'd hoped. I think we can both agree you've been soundly defeated, says the Emperor, leaning down to meet Turnip's wild gaze. But you're in luck. There'd be little joy in disposing of you here. I'll let you go for now, so you can think on your loss. He fully anticipates the Saiyan will attack him again, despite the hopelessness of the situation. He's quite ready to thwart that attempt.
She's ready this time, using her own ki as a shield to steer clear of the blast, letting the shield dissipate when Enu gets close enough. The flurry of jabs connect, but as Enu brings up her knees to strike, Maida grabs hold of her leg. Gotcha. She smirks, using both hands to fling Enu over her head, readying another blast in her palm to send the god flying. When she seems to stop, her gaze no longer on Enu, but Turnip. He's soaked in blood and his breathing is so ragged. Her heart drops at the sight, the energy in her palm flickering. Oh, kid. Maida reaches a hand out to him, guilt washing over her. She never let him fight that monster on his own. Maybe she could do something, distract Frieza, buy Turnip time to attack again. Maybe she could. The Saiyan's defenses are down, and she is thoroughly distracted with the scene before her. If Enu wants to deliver a devastating blow, now is the time.
Turnip tumbles and slides against the concrete, and once he stops, he spits out a chipped piece of tooth. His view flicks back up to Frieza, but the already unintelligible words his blurry opponent speaks are muffled under the ear-ringing pain. He squints to force his vision to swim back into focus, letting a beat of stillness wash over them. His eye darts to the side to make contact with Maida's gaze. Maida! He calls out with what little breath is allowed to reach his vocal cords. He struggles with all his might to stand back up, but when he does, he launches himself at Frieza with a surge of energy he's never felt before, like clumps of white-hot ball lightning collecting at his nerve endings. When he reaches his hand up to slash downward across his face, there's this growing yellow light that collects in his palm, small but concentrated.
Truly, Enu is the merciful sort and not much predisposed to brutal takedowns or the like. But after getting tossed around like that, launched into the air with another yelp, she knows she can't really afford to dick around and let this opportunity go to waste. She summons her staff back to her hand, having stopped midair after that fling. Then she falls. Twirling her ornament of office like a Shaolin monk's bow staff, she winds it up, channels her ki through the weapon, then drops out of the sky on the inattentive Maida, taking a bonker over the head with it.
I love you, Enu. You've done no wrong.
Her eyes stays fixated on Turnip. Charging up a small ball of energy, she'll blast Frieza with it. Get him to turn his attention on her for however long she can manage. She just needs to aim. Her knees buckled, the adrenaline is wearing off. Exhaustion setting in. She had been stretching herself too thin with ki blast after ki blast. Her body was none too pleased, but she can manage one more. She has to if she could just whack! Anu's staff connects with the base of Maida's skull. Earning a frightened and pained shriek, she immediately attempted to spin around to counterattack, but her vision is so blurry. She raised her arm to blast Anu, but she felt so nauseous and dizzy. The hit was hard. She could feel blood trickle down the back of her neck. Maida shakes off the feeling as best she can and fires the blast at Anu. Whether or not the blast connects doesn't really matter. As soon as the energy leaves Maida's palm, her legs fold and her unconscious body hits the ground.
Oh, that sounded bad. Maybe she should have dialed it in just to... Kablooey. a slightly singed Anu is left standing crookedly after Maida's final blast, but nevertheless she is victorious.
Hurts a little more.
Sorry. Oh, and then something happened in the event.
Things are happening
And then
in the main
something
event.
happened.
Let's go back. Let's go back and solve this mystery, gang.
Fucking Zamasu.
I wonder what. And then a Zamasu appear.
While we were gone,
Can you get the fuck out of here?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we need to read all of this. Really,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah, pretty good idea.
And then Days does say,
Oh, who joined?
I do
Kaboom
think this
someday.
exchange should be voiced, actually.
And well, since I'm voicing Days, I guess I'll...
If you
A
want
robotic
to, I don't want
voice.
to. I don't want to put your head on the chopping block.
You asked me to, I'm gonna
I
do
can
it.
find. If you don't want to, I can find a cup to yell into.
Now I
A
am.
robotic voice
Nice.
booms
Okay,
out
I
from the
can-
center of the arena. A high-value target has entered the northwest area. The items of interest include a 10-point coin, a medium potency healing capsule, and half a blitzwave generator. Quieter, yet still heard across the arena. Half a blitzwave generator?
Not a full one, no.
Are the contestants supposed to put it together themselves?
Yeah?
How?
Hold on.
Back to eardrum bursting loudness. And a blitzwave generator, batteries not included.
A late
entrant has joined
I wonder
in.
who that could be.
Wonder
Check
who
your
that-
coins,
Who
make
would
sure
it
your
be?
teams haven't shuffled around.
I wonder who that could be.
I like this. This is
Popcorn.
just some cool thing that Hoopy did. We'll learn about that
This,
later.
Whoa.
Whoa.
It's a surprise
I
to our
like
hopeless
it.
later.
And then another late entrant joined in.
I wonder who that is.
And then
I wonder who that is.
some random stuff happens. And this is what
Batteries.
concerns us.
It wasn't any cause for concern, of course, but had Maida intended to let her guard down. As hours watched on, as they slowly became aware of that ever-growing pit in their stomach. Laughing at themselves, in their head only, Hours had to ask, why am I worried? Team 1's set up to be eliminated. That just means everything's going well. Yeah, Team 1 had a good showing, but it's clear their time in this tournament was near over. Except, Hours really could not settle with that thought. Quietly.
This would come around to bite them later.
Yeah, quietly.
Days,
The
I'm in the
audience.
British fuck.
Of their near isolate spectators stand
Days, be ready to bring out the big target. North area.
to want to have your cake and to want to eat it too. What a classic folly. And then I think this is actually when Maida was passing out. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the actual moment.
That was a bad hit. That was a bad hit. Hours looked on in abject horror as it seemed as though the last resistance Maida had faded away. Our first elimination, so why couldn't they accept it? Hours closed their eyes. It was not rationality that drove them, but a very simple wish, a naive wish. Elusive as they may have seemed, Hours was little more than a newborn exploring beyond their limited worldview. Pursuit of the greatest spectacle. That was their intent. The concept of the tournament, Hours understood it, but certainly didn't comprehend it. Sure, people lose. It's the only way for a tournament to continue. But why does their tournament have to be that way? Why does the greatest spectacle have to have the sorrow of loss? For the eternities they've spent where the idea of entertainment was an alien concept, why did they have to accept the necessary evil? To have a tournament where no one loses, surely Hours would come to regret this split-second decision. Yet, with the same mentality of a child rooting for both hero and villain, Ours made a mistake. The entire tournament had gone back in time, 10 seconds prior to what was then the current moment.
Oh, yeah, and this is when the rewind
Oh, yeah, that's
happened.
why. That's when she's in the sky.
Okay. Why is she in the sky again? She remembers dropping. Right now she's a little distracted with being almost blinded by the sudden flare. She just floats there a moment in a daze.
And then, technically, I suppose this is when speaking of days.
A very high value target has entered the north area. The items of interest include a 15-point coin, a set of Patara earrings, and a Sensu bean. For those in the northern section, the sky would fill with the blinding light of a flare.
Do I read
Monsters,
Zamasu?
jump scared!
I would kind of like someone
I
else to
kind
talk
of
to.
wanted to.
the British!
Yeah, Zamas, yeah.
The British are coming.
The British.
Are coming.
There he is,
In the midst
Mr. Red
of the
Wine.
massive flash of light, a swirling cloud of dark energy would emerge. Nothing's come from it, yet.
Freeze has taken plenty of blasts from plenty of wounded Saiyans. This one is no different. Leaning backward, he watches Turnip's clawed hand sail over his face in what might as well be slow motion. Give it a rest, he tuts. Really, or I'll have no choice but to kill you. And we wouldn't want that, would we? A devious temptation tickles the back of Freeze's mind. Dare he awaken a Super Saiyan? Not yet. Not with so many watching. And not while his unwitting target still had a teammate in their corner. He'd bide his time for now. He blinked. And then he's 10 seconds ago, just before Turnip sprung his final gambit. What in hell? Why does this feeling give him such an irritating sense of deja vu?
That's a Resurrection F reference.
It really is. When Turnip crashes back down to the ground, he finds himself not where inertia should have put him, but rather in the same spot he was in before he called out for his teammate. The electricity in his veins feels as though it had been abruptly throttled, but even amidst the confusion, it is quick to charge back up. Taking full advantage of the lull, he heaves himself upright and charges in to try the attack again. The bulb of light in his hand is slightly dimmer the second time around, a facet of him trying to force it now that he knows he can do this.
Maida looked around frantically. Her pain was glowing with ki, like it was just seconds prior. She's not... Well, she was just... Wait. If Maida was here, is Enu still... Her head snapped up to meet Enu in the air. Not this time. She gritted her teeth and fired her energy at Enu with as much force as she could muster. All of her exhaustion seemed to cease, at least for a moment. Was this a second chance? A fluke? Whatever it was, she'd make the most of it. Turnip. She had to grab Turnip. They needed to reconvene. She needed to get him the hell away from Frieza. Her heart pounded in her ears. Her feet felt weightless against the concrete as she ran to him, grounding her heels into the ground and glaring through Frieza. She grabbed Turnip and ran now. The time would surely just fire a beam at them. She needed to retreat without either opponent trying to follow or stop them, but how? Wait, yes! There was a defensive technique she learned while on Earth. How did it go? She placed her hands on either side of her head, fingers spread. Eyes screwed shut as she roared out the name of the technique. Solar Flare! A blinding white light flashed across the battlefield. She prayed it would be enough of a distraction to get away. She wasted no time grabbing Turnip by his wrist and sprinting. Her tail hovered protectively around him. She turned her head to look at Turnip while she bobbed and weaved through the streets. If this was scary for her, how the hell was he taking it? I don't know what just happened. I was eliminated. I know I was eliminated, but now I'm here. Like the clock rewinded. Coming to a stop once they were acceptable distance away, Maida let go of Turnip's wrist. I don't know what or who happened. I do know that we can't do this separately. We need to work together if we want to have a chance of winning. She looked around the area. Maybe they could MacGyver a couple of bats and shields and use them? Not the best idea, but it's all she could think of. Maybe Turnip might have a suggestion? Do you have any ideas?
Still rubbing her eyes after the flare, Enu is in no condition to notice or dodge the ki blast. And while she's still pinwheeling through the sky from that, the solar flare goes off and blinds her again.
God damn.
Oh.
Birch in chat. Turnip's idea.
This fucking
Turnip's idea.
Turnip's idea.
Turnip's idea.
Really good.
Turnip's idea. I think we
That
should
was
kill
perfect.
Zamasu.
This idea is so good, it makes me want to kill Zamasu.
Of course, with Frieza having been relocated to 10 seconds earlier, it only follows that everyone else has as well. He prepares himself to dodge another attack from the grounded Saiyan, and suddenly everything goes white. Frieza snarls like an angry cat, fires a beam in the direction from which the flare seems to have originated, but he can't make anything more than an uneducated guess with the migraine now pounding against his skull. Dirty inbred mammals!
Had enough, I keep getting flashbanged. Could you stop being racist for 5 minutes? And his exasperated voice comes from above.
Really good. I love you, Enu. You've done no wrong.
Really good.
He rubs his eyes, blinks, rubs his eyes again, blinks a few more times for good measure, and eventually his eyesight returns, though Turnip's sorry face remains burned into his retinas, as does the headache into his gray matter. Don't patronize me, he hisses, levitating into the air. Their battle powers have dropped like stones. They'll be difficult to sense as they are now. Help me find them.
All he registers is the feeling of a hand's vice grip on his wrist before his vision is overtaken by white, pure as the driven snow but warm as the sunniest day. He's in a total daze, so may as well be dragging him. Her voice enters his mind, but her words barely register. When they come to a stop, he's still checked out. His eyes are glazed over and his head sways back and forth ever so slightly. Barely able to even move his mouth to make the words, he lets out a strained, slurred whisper, completely unrelated to Maida's question. Did I get him?
She shoots Frieza a quick, annoyed glare as she recovers her senses and comes floating down, before nodding stiffly in agreement. She scans the surrounding area idly as she speaks. Splitting up would just invite an ambush. What do you suggest?
Lightning and a rumbling that resembled thunder. That dark cloud of energy was intensifying steadily. It was gradual, yet consistent. Those that didn't leave the north area soon would certainly be subject to whatever it was bringing in. A pinhole rip in space that's growing into a vortex, threatening to subsume all in chaotic whirlwinds of power.
Buggy's on BRB, so we're gonna need someone else to voice Frieza real quick.
Hey boy. Oh, maybe Birchmere, who's our friend, who just showed up.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. It's just his.
Right here. You narrate
Yes.
as well.
A quick glance at the storm cloud in the distance puts a hold on Frieza's plotting. I see they're introducing hazards to the arena, he observes. The announcer mentioned a high-value target would soon appear in our vicinity. That wormhole over there must mark its grand entrance. His gaze turned downward once again. What do you say we play shepherd and drive them toward the epicenter? 2 birds, 1 stone.
Well, assuming that thing doesn't crash down on us before then. Let's give it a try. She points her staff out at one of the surrounding buildings, energy starting to build. As long as there aren't any actual people around to be collateral, this seems like the best way of smoking their opponents out.
What a delight. It's been too long since Frieza's gotten the opportunity to engage in a bit of wanton destruction. He wastes no time in firing off a few death beams into the surrounding landscape, detonating stretches of artificial city in their wake.
Maida was silent for a moment, sighing and giving Turnip a soft smile, flicking debris off his shoulder before speaking. Tough kid. You got some good hits in, but you didn't win. Not yet. A far-off blast causes Maida to bolt upright. Trying to force them out into the open already? We need to come up with something. Anything. She grabbed fistfuls of her hair. Is this just delaying the inevitable? Damn it, Maida. Just think for once in your... Wait. Didn't the announcer say something about the Potara? The way things were going seemed to be the only way forward. But could she convince Turnip? Turnip, listen. She grabbed his shoulders. determined Glenn in her eye and spoke as simply as she could, with the threat of being found looming over her. We can beat them. We can win this if we fuse. Another blast. Closer this time. She tightened her grip. They're running out of time. I know this is a lot, but think about it. Our strength combined into one being, Frieza and Enu will stand no chance. We just need to find those earrings. They couldn't be far, and hopefully they wouldn't be buried under rubble. Maida let go of Turnip's shoulders. Even though this seemed to be the obvious choice, Maida couldn't go through with it until her teammate agreed. Are you with me on this?
The energy began to crescendo, rippling and buckling under its own force. The spiral of power suddenly burst. For but a moment, the sky was coated, awash with an impenetrable blackness. Breathing purple light, it was as though the entire world was engulfed by a storm cloud. But this was momentary. As the moment passed, the cloud cleared. All that was left in the sky was it. The high-value target, dangling from dull gray ears, the Potara that Maida would be looking for. The form it was hooked to was certainly unforgettable. A fallen god, hell-bent on enacting a plan to rid those unworthy of the worlds they inhabited. Yet, though the face was unmistakable, the eyes lacked a certain quality, a certain fervence, a certain consciousness. It was as though they were sleepwalking, movements without purpose, unconscious habit, yet with an imposed intention. With little more than a raise of the hand, the world would forevermore be shaped by the god's ire. Lightning of absolution! The area of cityscape that the Kai loomed over was quickly rendered to rubble in the chaos of the storm.
Turnip blinked a few times so that his focus could return to him quicker, but everything still had a thick layer of blur over it. He doesn't know what this fuse thing entails, but if it even has a chance of being what needs to happen in order to take down Frieza once and for all, he's willing to try. Any questions about the nature of the fusion can wait, and necessity is the best teacher anyway. His response is a slow and manual nod. What do they... He stammers, his voice slowly coming back to him. What do they look like? Trying to get up so soon shifts his broken rib in a way that jabs another sharp wave of pain through his body, but the rumbling from afar knocks him back down anyway. What was that?
Well, would you look at that? Frieza's attention is drawn, as anyone's would be, to the sickly-looking Kai at the storm's epicenter. High value indeed. If this were a real city, that collateral damage he just caused would cost billions. Good one.
Thanks. Thank you, my clone. My weird clone up here.
My clone.
Is that a Kaioshin? She feels sick to her stomach staring at this guy for some reason. She hates his vibes. Well, whatever he is, he's holding 15 points, a set of Potara, and apparently some sort of beans. In case we're hungry? Confused. Either way, we better find a way to keep all that out of our opponent's hands.
A senzu bean, corrects Frieza with a disdainful snort. It's a miracle cure from a miserable mudball called Earth. It heals any injury in an instant. So yes, let's make sure it doesn't fall into anyone else's grubby paws. I do so despise doing things twice.
The relief that Turnip was on board was quickly quelled by a distinct feeling of dread as the pair hit the ground. I don't know. That couldn't have been Frieza or Enu. She was so tunnel vision on the Potara, she had blanked out everything else. Wasn't there something said about a target or something? That definitely seemed important. Why can't she ever just listen to what's important? We need to get closer to the source of the blast. It'll lead us to the Potara, I hope. Maida used the building next to her as a support to help herself and Turnip to their feet. Easy now.
What are you saying fuck me for?
What are you saying fuck me for?
I love this.
Now,
I'm having so much fun.
I had to draw that real quick.
Life
now,
is so beautiful.
how to go about this? It wouldn't be so difficult if he'd stayed in his true form, but with his power all cooped up, Frieza would be no match for a target with a value of 15. He curls his hand into a fist, tries to summon a bit more to the surface just to see if he can... No dice. The rest of him, at least for now, has been locked out of reach. He really needs to stop getting so ahead of himself with these things. It never does end well. Loath as I am to admit it, we'll need a strategy for this one. He rests his left hand on his hip, still flexing his right. You're of the same stock. Any particular weaknesses I should know about?
Oh, like a baboon cat. Anu mumbles to herself in realization, thinking of a certain mushroom for her own universe. Waving the matter off, she nods in response, trying not to get hung up on same stock. It's not like they're on sale at the farmer's market, even if they did grow on a tree. We don't tend to have high key reserves as a rule, but he's fused with another species. It's hard to tell how that interaction would affect things. At a guess, we need to zero in on the earrings. If we could just snatch them off somehow, the fusion might destabilize.
Ah, yes, the earrings. They're the same sort Kefla used, aren't they? Well, that makes things easy enough. In that case, all we need to do is pin him down. He holds up a pointer finger. At its tip, a boiling spark of energy flickers to life, painting his devious grin pink. You'll find I have exceptional aim.
That earns a leery look from Anu. I have restraining spells of various kinds, but if the power gap is enough, he may simply break through them. There's a lot we don't know, but attacking from a distance seems like a good start. If it doesn't work, I'll try to sneak up and keep him immobile for at least a second or two.
Actually, hold on. Frieza hovers a bit higher, landing with delicate poise atop one of the few remaining skyscrapers, and squints his eyes into the distance. Yes, the Kai is a bit far away, a little under 1 kilometer by his estimate, and that earring is rather small. But he's hit more difficult marks. No time like the present. He fires off a needle-thin death beam, equal parts precise and deadly. And with a sound like the ringing of a bell, the Potara on Zamasu's right ear shatters into 1,000,000 pieces. Frieza dusts his hand off on his shoulder. That should take care of that.
McDonald's.
McDonald's!
Just call me McDonald's Frieza.
McDonald's Frieza.
The wonders of text-based RP.
She comes back to reality when she hears the announcement. Oh, there's an announcement.
It's so beautiful.
There's something in it that I see.
I love this emoji.
Let's find out what the announcement is.
They did split me into.
Then
I took my own
They get worried about
Potara.
arugula. Something that's happened. Here they go. Here's days.
The robot that occupied the undecorated center of the arena looked up to Hours, who was still positioned on a floating spectator's stand. Somehow squinting its one cyclopean eye, the robot asked in abject confusion, "Are they allowed to do that?"
Hours' attention was shifted to the northwestern corner. What? Oh.
I thought.
Oh, that's when they're
would've been
working together.
unbreakable.
That's when P and Arugula.
Certainly. Disbelief was clear on their face.
I suppose it's no matter. Even if the loss of the Potara would normally cause a diffusion, this isn't
I
the
was
type
like-
of circumstances that should enable such a change.
Hours' face twists in thought before coming to a conclusion.
Replace it, then detract 1 point from Team 2.
I love this because I don't think Team 2 ever earns another point.
Substitute Potara is being sent to the north area. -1 point for Team 2 for a total of -1 points.
Yay!
Mumbling, they looked over to Daze.
Where's the Potara? It didn't return to Zamasu's ear.
Oh, I just dropped it underneath him.
What? And leave him with only 1 Potara? That looks dumb.
Though Daze doesn't have much ability to express, the blank stare given to Hours comes through clearly. Did you expect me to go there and put it on him?
No response. Hours later. Okay. That means
Hours
back
later.
to the fucking North Corner.
Back to North Corner.
This
We're almost over.
wacky scene.
She comes back to reality when she hears the announcement. Hey, I thought you were just gonna knock it off, not break it.
His whole face goes purple as he screeches back Anu's way. How in blazes was I supposed to know that would happen? Clearing his throat into a fist, he manages, just barely, to compose himself. It's only 1 point. Easy to recover if we knock out those wimps on Team 2. And that high-value target should be much more vulnerable now, yes?
Yes, just 1 point. She still looks a bit put out about it being penalized for rule breaking. That's not her. She's not like that. Please believe her.
Oh, my Anu. Even if it came with some unforeseen, even by the hosts, repercussions, it was unquestionable that Frieza's shot was well placed. The obliteration of the Potara led for the first ounce of emotion to show itself on the fallen Kai's face. A swirl of neutrality and surprise, like one was ineffectually stirred from a nap. It almost seemed as though it was about to solve the problem at hand, the body of the Kai suddenly shining out, as though what energy held them together was being released. And in a way, that was true. There was no grand separation, no Zamasu and Goku. Rather, the two halves, connected across an imperceptible seam, began to slide apart. It was not the end of the Kai, rather, a task demanding a simple fix. To realign oneself, he placed their hands on either side of their chin, pushing themselves back into place. It was close to perfect, off by centimeters, subtle enough to be unnoticed, but not hidden to the degree that it wasn't unsettling. In this display, the next act was quite underpronounced. Without even turning their head, they flicked a hand toward the vague direction of the beam, and buildings went flying along as a wave of force ripped through them. It was unlikely to hit his attacker head-on, but the collateral threatened all those in the area.
The tiny sound is the last sign of Anu for a few moments as she kai-kais out of the range of the blast wave. She's left standing 100 meters away or so, staring at the devastation.
Is its body falling apart? And what an awful squelch. Oh, dear. A massive shockwave tears through the arena. Frieza manages to summon another shield just before it hits, but it doesn't nullify the wave's momentum, and, in an ironic mirror of the fate he dealt Maida earlier, he's reduced to a royal pinball crashing through buildings and bouncing around in the rubble. It takes a minute for him to regain his bearings, and when he does... Damn, that's a nasty bruise on his arm. Is that a crack he feels on the back of his biohelm? He clicks his tongue grouchily, wiping a streak of blood off his freshly split bottom lip. None of the injuries are serious, but it's a bother to have sustained them. Now, where's his teammate gone?
He's trying to keep a low profile, for one thing. Hovering low to the ground, weaving through the rubble, she tries to find her way to cover without alerting the fused fighter to her position.
Between the wall and Maida's embrace, walking is finally possible.
You
have your filter on.
Your hours.
Oh shit!
Hours playing with their toys.
My toy.
My toy.
My toys. I like these toys.
My toys.
Pixel Burnip Simba style. My toy.
My freaking toys.
I like my toy.
What the?
Between
What
the
the
wall
frick?
and
My
Maida's
toys.
embrace, walking is finally possible.
Bro, what the frick? That's my toy.
From around the corner, Turnip spots what all the commotion was about. Who the hell is this third thing? Wait, was that what you meant? His heart sinks as he points at the fact that this person only has one earring. He doesn't immediately spot the one on the ground, since from his perspective it's hidden behind fallen debris.
As the blast finally faded, the Kai returned to a neutral, inactive stance.
There's no sign of Anu, or Turnip and Maida for that matter. Frieza, for now, is alone, and that makes him an easy target. So why isn't the proxy attacking? With trepidation to which he never admit, Frieza pokes his head out from behind cover to scout the terrain. Yes, it appears that this Zamasu puppet has entirely ceased to move. It's just hovering there, totally motionless save for the ruffling of its tunic in the wind. So then, what are the parameters of its activation? Is it only able to retaliate? A little experimentation is in order. Frieza summons more humming energy onto his fingertip, but this time, instead of shooting at Zamasu directly, he aims a good ways underneath the false Kai, curving the beam upward at the last moment so it strikes from directly below.
The blast flew forward, and once more with sniper-like accuracy, Frieza found his mark. Yet once more the Kai gave little reaction, aside from a dreary look of unrealized shock. It wasn't as though the blast did any damage. On the contrary, the damage it dealt was quite visible. Lethal? No. Enough to end the fight? Perhaps not. But for the severe difference their numbers implied, the damage was certainly more than one would expect. A large gash up the leg, nearly across the torso, nearly striking the head, were the Kai not to suddenly jerk backwards in a marionette-like motion. The regeneration slowly knit things back together. Yet the regeneration itself was delayed, as though the Kai had to consciously will it to begin, though perhaps not the Kai. As soon as the injury had all but disappeared, an odd discoloration forming in its place. Harming a god is a worthless effort, mortal. God complex. The Kai, Zamasu, begins to speak out. Yet, if it is what you choose to waste your life on, I, as a benevolent deity, am more than suited to grant your death wish. Slowly, the head turned. The black of Zamasu's frozen pupils caught the light as they broke through the vast distance between them. It was unmistakable. His gaze was trained on Frieza. Just because I wasn't looking at you, doesn't mean I don't see you.
The creepy Kai has just started talking. Anu has slowly been making her way back towards Frieza's position over the last couple of minutes. But upon hearing Zamasu's unsettling voice, she stopped and hid behind cover, stock still. She remains alert and fidgety, kind of like a cat with its tail poofed up, ready to bolt, should another large blast start heading this way.
Oh, there's the Potara! Yes! She nodded to Turnip's question, staring at the shining pieces of jewelry. Well, one of them anyway. Dangling off the ear of a god, that's great. Maida gritted her teeth in frustration. It can never be that easy for them, can it? But the other can't be far, right? Maybe they could hunt around the blast hit the Kai hard. Maida cautiously pulled Cherna back and quietly observed Zamasu's reaction. Injury was nothing to sneeze at, but he didn't even look fazed. He's handling the wound. They seem to be talking to someone. A person who shot him, no doubt. Who would that be? Maybe Anu could have... Maida wasn't even going to entertain the thought. It was obviously Frieza. Okay. Attacking him head-on probably won't work. She began, her eyes darting around the rubble. But he seems to be distracted for now. Maybe we could search the area for the other Potara. It has to be nearby.
For a split second, their eyes meet. There's nothing behind the false Kai's beady gaze. It speaks as though reciting a script, but the threat still sends Frieza's chilly heart into panicked palpitations. How could it have tracked his location? It wasn't even looking when he attacked. Was the angle still too obvious? Barely World fury lances up his spine. He's so sick of these damn gods flaunting their lofty stations, so confident in their superiority. He is Lord Frieza, Emperor of the Universe. He will not be cowed, especially not by some half-baked facsimile of the divine. Growling to himself, Frieza grits his teeth and splays both hands. Fine, then. If one isn't enough, Zamasu can have some more. Death beams erupt from each of the tiny tyrant's fingers and thumbs, twisting and writhing in the air like headless snakes, racing through the crumbled cityscape to bombard Zamasu from all angles. Playtime's over, puppet!
The first grand movement. For as obvious as whatever invisible strings pulling the puppet along were, the movements of the Kai in battle were far more fluid, though one could certainly find rigidity in an unmoving expression. Taking an ethereal stance, one foot over the other, pointed down to the ground they soared above, the Kai would blast forward, leaving ripples in the air as they closed the distance between them. The truth was blatant and determinate. As long as the Kai remained uninhibited, even with what lasting impairment the loss of the Potara left him with, the difference between the two's current power was insurmountable. At equal footing, Frieza was at a severe disadvantage. Slashing through blasts that came his way, making use of a hand covered by a blade of ki, the ocean of distance between them became a pond, which became a river, which was left as a puddle. Stopped mere feet before Frieza, the Kai raised an open palm. A direct attack, but not one aimed to kill. A humiliation would be delivered first. A volatile burst of wind would swell up from the back of Zamasu's hand, picking up in speed before breaking against the landscape, and possibly Frieza's body, as a fierce shockwave.
This is too fast for Enu to react. The real Kai looks on in vague horror, tensing and making ready to jump in as soon as she espies an opening.
He'd forgotten how this form slowed his senses. Before he can blink, the false Kai appears before him, and the aftershock of his incredible speed buffets Frieza with a flurry of stinging gusts. For a second, he freezes like a deer caught in headlights. Then his scowl returns, as does his stomach, and he falls into a fighting stance, tail lashing scuffs into the concrete.
While the god is distracted and a good distance away from where it landed, there, Turnip finally sees a yellow gleam amidst the rocks. Without warning, he treats Maida's words like a starting gun and pushes off the wall for extra speed as he blitzes past the excruciating agony that engulfed him with every step, bound and determined to snatch up whatever that shiny thing on the ground is as quickly as possible. The one still on the god's ear could be dealt with once this one is obtained.
Maida followed after Turnip in a half jog and focused her ki, ready to construct a shield to protect the pair at a moment's notice. With their opponents and Zamasu close by, they couldn't be too careful. Not now!
His attention wasn't placed on the two Saiyans scurrying around, having found his first target. The Kai would strike to render said target unactionable. It was a rather simple procedure. Pick them off one by one. In lieu of any bold plays, none of them exactly had any means of stopping him. As Frieza stands his ground, a small, hollow smirk crossed the Kai's face, as though a condescending "well done" was to follow. Yet there was no congratulations for the so-called Emperor, at least not from one who could call themselves a god. Gathering between the tips of Zamasu's fingers, a spark of fire. This fire carried its way into his palm before being pushed forward, exploding out into an erratic torrent of energy, threatening to engulf Frieza. For this proxy, even a simple energy wave is an act of godly extravagance.
That, it would seem, is the moment for action that Enu has been preparing for. Her first action, with her staff extended, to try and encase Frieza in that very same protective pink bubble she shielded herself in earlier, in order to let that ki attack part harmlessly around it. Heedless of the success of the first spell, which will fade and release Frieza once the attack is dissipated in any case, Enu quick casts the second, the same ribbons she tried to ensnare Maida in earlier. She is going to attempt to immobilize Proxy Zamasu, however briefly. The differential in power still immediately shows as she breaks into a bit of a sweat from the strain. Frieza, whatever you're going to do it now.
Whatever he's going to do? Why, Frieza doesn't even know what he's going to do, and he's the one who's about to do it! He's got to do something, though, and with so little room to think, there's not much else but to let his instinct for battle carry him forth, for better or for worse. A bead of sweat forms on his forehead as he readies himself, tail swishing agitatedly to and fro. What's the move here? What's his angle? The only lead he has is the earrings, but breaking the first one incurred a penalty, and he'd rather not set himself another point behind. That said, he doesn't remember any rules prohibiting its theft. Enu's practically keeling over from the effort of keeping the god restrained. He doesn't have much time. So, like a hungry cat napping food off its owner's dish, Frieza swipes at Zamasu's remaining earring, yanking it clean off. Then, as soon as that's done, he leaps away, scurrying to whatever high ground he can find in anticipation of the aftermath.
Certainly, it was an impressive feat. The god, more or less, was affixed in space. It may not have been comforting, then, that those lifeless eyes tracked Frieza's hand as he stole the remaining Potara. Yet, that was all the reaction given, so without any emoting, the proxy continued to strain against the ribbons. One could only guess that there was a matter of minutes, perhaps seconds, that Enu would be able to keep him restrained. By all means, expend what little energy you have left on this fruitless endeavor. But don't mistake it, this saves no one, it simply infuriates me.
And then Milnak did a comic, I believe.
Yeah, it's a really
Yeah, I just like to I just liked. It's very visual to me.
It's good.
Awesome! Awesome! My good friend Mill and their awesome art.
Fly so high.
I just learned recently that that's John Anderson of Yes who's sampled there. Okay, good. That's more or less what she... wait. Frieza's running and hiding. Enu knows that the next couple of minutes are going to hurt. She gulps and mentally counts down from 5 before releasing her hold. Thurbans dispel into faint sparkles of pink, and the Supreme Kai attempts to Kai away, seeking to land on a rooftop about 100 meters distant.
It goes completely over Turnip's head that the worn earring has already been seized as he runs by and swipes up the one that has fell from the ground. He glances up to where the other one would be, only to find it missing, yanked off by... oh no. As his opponent scampers away, Turnip immediately gives chase, locked on target with no way of breaking it.
Frieza's managed for now to escape the danger posed by the angry proxy god, but it's not so simple to evade a Saiyan who's caught the scent of blood. Just as he stops behind a crumbled skyscraper to regain his composure, Turnip comes barreling around the corner, fangs first. Perhaps he can work with this. The diminutive Dispo raises a hand, stopping the Saiyan in his tracks with a telekinetic wave. Only once he's satisfied with the strength of these temporary restraints does he make his approach. "Don't get your tail in a twist," he chuckles. "We're in no spot to spar right now." Unfurling his spare hand, he reveals the Potara earring, which he sends hovering over to Turnip's face. There it bobs gently up and down so that the Saiyan might examine it. "See? Here. It's a peace offering. Use it to fuse with your friend, and we might all destroy this mockery of the divine together." Really, Frieza lost very little by way of such a truce. After all, he had no intent to use the earrings himself. He could think of few things more unpleasant than merging his mind with another. Much more appealing to let a couple of primates do his dirty work on his behalf. Just like old times.
Enu observes this exchange from a distance, first with bafflement, then with quiet calculation. Yeah, that's probably for the best. She doesn't think she can handle Fuse Zamasu with Frieza's help, let alone by herself.
Cracking a smile. No, not cracking a smile. Why would Zamasu do that right now? Breaking character. Turning that smile upside down, the Kai disorganizedly stumbled forward as the ribbons were released, as though it was expecting to fight through them to the bitter end, and suddenly lacking a force to fight against, put a little too much gusto into moving forward. Glancing around, it was already too late. The other Kai had warped away, and Frieza had skittered out of its line of sight. Searching would be too much effort, especially given the unknown factor of the Kai who could, even if only momentarily, restrain an individual of this capacity. Thus, in a twisted display of reason, it became reasonable to simply demolish the whole of the northern section. No effort wasted searching, no risk of being once more restrained, nothing more than impious mortals whose prayers were doomed to fall on deaf ears. Revere him, mortals. The immortal and infinitely powerful Zamasu will be the one to take your lives. Letting loose a howl of power, Zamasu took flight, ascending far above the land of the cityscape. The Kai, dressed in black, gazed over the metallic expanse without so much of a care. Letting a spark drift up from the furthest point in his hand, the scan had given him a target. Center of M2. It'd have the highest chance of knocking the northern corner off from the rest of the arena. But in failing that, certainly would lead to the deaths of all those within its radius. The spark ascended ever higher before blossoming out into a ball of flame, parting what few gaseous clouds of dust served as clouds within this extra-dimensional arena. It grew ever fiercer, severing the vast darkness and the crack of time with radiant orange light. The Kai's body had exerted itself a great deal, and underneath the light it seemed to be more saturated, colorful. Whatever stress this performance was placing on it, it seemed to be advancing the Kai's body to some limit. Certainly, it seems as though it hadn't reached it just yet, given the fact that it still had some power to give. It had already gathered a great deal of energy, enough to total the city, but to the one awaiting a grand spectacle, it was insufficient still. Placing more power into an attack like this was simply a physical limit. Never mind the possibility of it being blasted off course and having all that energy wasted. Yet, in spite of this, the body pressed on, up into the most it could muster, and then a little beyond it. Hours a second. Sorry, HTTP/hours a second difference.
Yeah.
There's not even
some of these are just.
Oh,
of these are
Hours
just-
Voice, I am so cool.
That's not a real website.
That's not a real website.
I know.
Make that a real website
we all
now.
tried. We all
Aw.
tried. Let's all make it real together.
We got to make
File
his
the
website.
domain,
We got to make
hours
their
a
website
second
real.
difference.
Excuse me.
Suddenly, the sphere of flames doubled in size, as the proxy's body nearly split in two from the exertion that even they didn't expect. At this point, it eclipsed a decent portion of the boundless void above the group, and would be visible from anywhere in the arena. It seemed to have also brought those who'd be facing this attack a speck more of time to prepare, as the proxy desperately fought against its own imposed annihilation.
Oh, you found it. Where were you going? It was too late. Turnip was already rushing off, so Maida had to follow. Right into Frieza's line of sight. Great. Okay. He's probably thrilled seeing her after she had flashbanged him to escape. Hang on. Is that? Yes, that's the last Patara. Oh, he would just snatch it, wouldn't he? Just their luck. At least he didn't seem to want it to fuse. How would that even work? Was lost on Maida, seeing as the tyrant didn't have ears in a conventional sense. Would he just hold it to his hand? Try to attach it to one of those holes on either side of his skull, his tail? A pointless yet mildly interesting thought. I hate to admit it, but he's right. She whispered, fist balled up at her sides. Don't show fear. She's better than that. Until the Kai is taken out, this fight can't continue. We need to get rid of him first. She took out one of her own earrings and reached out for the floating one, turning it over in her hand to inspect it. The jewelry softly glimmered in the light. Pretty.
Bert, you're being tagged in for Frieza.
La 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 la. While the Saiyans examined the Potara, Frieza feels hot, foreign energy prickling at the nape of his neck. What is that? He turns his head skyward and is met with the sight of a miniature sun gathering strength in Zamusu's hand. Ah, that's what. Well, Energy Ball isn't half as impressive as Frieza's signature supernovas, but it's nonetheless a matter of concern considering how little power he's able to summon at the moment. So it's with a note of irritable urgency that he returns his attention to the other contenders. You can deliberate later, he hisses. For now, we ought to leave. I have a sneaking suspicion this arena is about to get one city smaller.
Before he can accept one way or the other, or even think very long about the logistics or veracity of Frieza just giving him what he needed outright, Turnip's eye catches the bright ball of light forming in the hand of the uncanny one, a threatening radius of warmth ebbing into his senses. Even without understanding what Frieza is saying, he knows what that kind of light means and was going to leave anyway. Go, now! He shouts, grabbing Maida by the wrist and booking it back towards the maze of buildings. His aim is to go further than the cover spot that they had before. Even he knew that a blast that big would surely decimate a place that close.
Enu is making a noise curiously like air being let out of a balloon. Kind of a very quiet... Which just won't do, really. She's a supreme Kai for Zeno's sake. She will not panic or freeze up in the face of adversity. She reminds herself of this fact by aggressively clapping her cheeks with her palms to wake herself up before zipping over to Frieza. You know how they say it's better to ask forgiveness than permission? She moves to loop her arm through his, and assuming there is no resistance, she promptly finished the thought with a strange utterance. Hi, Kai. Blip. She, and hopefully Frieza, are now right next to our dear friends Turnip and Maida. And since the Saiyans are already being so helpful by way of Turnip gripping Maida's wrist, she only needs to put her hand on one of their shoulders and repeat emphatically, Kai Kai, which is the last thing any of them would hear before they are, quite suddenly, floating in the asteroid field that makes up the northeast corner.
North Mortal Corner!
North Mortal Corner! Okay.
It is 11:30 p.m., so I think I have to stop here.
I was gonna say this is the perfect point to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good
North Mortal Corner.
The triangle getting a chunk taken out of it. It's good.
Somebody took a big bite of that pizza.
Oh, Anu.
I'm stopping the recording.
Hi, Joby World. It's me, Krillin. Just wanted to say